At the Okoli Law Group, we specialize in producing justice. If you or a loved one in the Atlanta metro area is facing serious criminal charges, then you need serious legal representation.
The Okoli Law Group is here for you. The Okoli Law Group is here for us.
The Okoli Law Group, serious legal representation.
Peace, family. We are live again. Oh, hold on. Let me check the settings. My audio is good. Camera's good. Peace, fam. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Hit that like button. Again, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Got a couple of announcements before we get started. Hold on. Just don't want to be losing stuff. Got a couple of announcements before we get started. We are rolling to Nigeria. We are rolling to Nigeria. That is going to be August 3rd to the 12th. August 3rd to the 12th, we are rolling to Nigeria. If you're interested in joining us, internet kind of slow. This Xfinity internet is kind of slow. Come on, Xfinity. I got the fastest plan. Come on, y'all. Please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa. That's DANFO. .Africa. Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue. Is that Vermont Avenue in LA? Is that Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles in LA? Yeah, but please visit donfo.africa to learn more. Rolling to Nigeria in August, Zanzibar in September, Namibia and South Africa in November. And then we are rolling to Sierra Leone in December. So if you're interested in joining, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. I know Vermont Avenue. I used to live in LA. I lived in LA from 2008 to 2014. So I know Vermont Avenue in LA. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on, everybody. Appreciate everyone for joining. Love y'all. I will put the link in the chat room here in about 30 minutes or so. Let's jump into today's topic. Why don't black nations have any nuclear weapons or any weapons? Because and the reason why I'm doing this show, we see what's going on with Iran and Israel right now. And, they're showing the footage. Iran is sending missiles, firing missiles to Israel, and Israel, they have the Iron Dome, and they're intercepting. You can see them intercepting the missiles that are being sent. Some get through, and vice versa. And I was just thinking to myself, what if a country sends what is it called, an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile? I don't know. They send a missile, I don't know, they fire on Sierra Leone, Nigeria, hell, Angola, Cameroon, Congo, Kenya. Like, do these countries have the resources to intercept a missile that's coming in? Do these countries have the capabilities to blow a fighter jet flies into your airspace? Do these countries have the resources or the defense to take them out of the sky? It was just an interesting question. Do we have submarines? Do we even have a navy? With battleships? I know they have a navy, but do we have battleships? What kind of military do we have? What do we do? And so, yeah, the question is, why don't black nations have any nuclear weapons? South Africa had nuclear weapons or nuclear program, but we gave all of that up to have Nelson Mandela be president, from my understanding. For when the power, at the end of apartheid, when they exchanged power from the apartheid government to the ANC, which is led by Nelson Mandela, they had to get rid of the nuclear program. And I just like, what, as far as like sub-Saharan African countries, like what military might do these countries have? I mean, you got to think about it. In the Congo, the Congo, they were hiring mercenaries from Europe to fight for them. South Africa and Namibia have nuclear reactors for generating electricity. No, I'm not talking about just for generating electricity. I'm talking about kaboom, the bomb. And then the irony is I think the uranium or whatever the substance is to make the nuclear bomb go boom, it comes from the Congo. Like, it comes from the Congo. Only tanks, fighter jets. How many fighter jets does does a African country have? Why can't we develop our own, and have just a capable fighting force? I'm reading about the U.S. bombed Iran last night, which I disagree with. Let Israel stand on their own. But again, the U.S. bombed Iran last night, again, which I completely disagree with. I'm calling out Trump. I don't support that. I disagree with that. But I'm thinking about, and they used this B-2 bomber to do it. Again, they used this B-2 bomber to do it, and just the technology behind this bomber, how it can't be seen or detected on radar. Why isn't Africa developing that? Again, why doesn't Africa have the? I mean, we want to talk about how we taught Herodotus and the Greeks. They came to Kemet, and we gave them the technology. And when the white man was in Europe, during the bubonic plague, we taught them how to take a shower and all this other stuff. But we don't have any B-2 fighter jets or any fighter jet that's worth a damn. Again, if a foreign country was to come in, I'll give you an example. When Israel went into Uganda, this is back in I think the late 70s, early 80s. Idi Amin was in power. And the way they did it was embarrassing. Like, Uganda couldn't even defend themselves. When they had, I think, in fact, it might have been Iranians or some Middle East country had some Israelis held them hostage, and they Yeah, they killed Bibi's brother was killed there, correct. And they I think it was Iranians. They hijacked the plane. They landed in a Tibi. I think that's how you say it, the airport in Uganda. And Israel just came right. It was Palestinians, okay. And they just came right in and did what they had to do and got out. I mean, there was one death, but yeah, I just, it was an interesting question. Let me put the link in the chat room. If you guys want to call in and add to the convo, you're more than welcome to. Also, make sure you hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I've been posting some of the content from our last trip to Senegal. Just got back a couple weeks ago. In fact, I got returned back 2 weeks ago, exactly today, June 8th. Guys, hold on one second. Sorry about that. So yeah. Links in the chat room. If you guys want to call in, add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to. Link is in the chat room. And once again, we're rolling to Nigeria in August, Zanzibar in September, and then we're going to Namibia and South Africa in November, and Sierra Leone in December. So looking forward to all of that. I love bushmeat. I love bushmeat. Oh, go ahead, Colin.
No, I can't eat bushmeat, man. No, I can't do that.
You don't knock it till you try it.
No, I won't
Makes
try
you feel
it.
goofy.
I won't try it. I
Mhm.
seen a girl one time. She was eating bushmeat, right? And they found her. All of a sudden, it had parasites in it, and the worms were coming out of her vagina. I was like, ugh.
All right, yeah,
But,
that's extreme. Go ahead.
yeah, but anyway, about this topic tonight, Africa first of all got to get itself together as far as like basic infrastructure. If Africa got its basic infrastructure together, that would be the equivalent of having a nuclear weapon.
Colin, you there? Colin, we lost you. You see, y'all listen.
Car.
Y'all can't be calling on your Obama phones.
Yeah, no,
Listen,
it's not a
Trump.
bomb phone. Just that the screensaver comes on, and it's
Colin,
not.
turn off this. Colin, turn off the
I don't
screensaver.
know. Look, I don't know how to do this technology, man. I don't know. I've been trying to do it. Somebody got to show me how to do it. I try to call you sometime and guide me through all this shit like StreamYard. It's a joke. I don't know how to use that shit at all, man. I'll be messing up shows. Speaking of Joe, I say like it's not StreamYard is not user friendly, man. I miss Google.
How's it not user friendly, Colin? All
Dude,
you do is
man,
you.
but Dynas, man. The other day, I accidentally entered the studio from my phone. I had two profiles going up there. I had to delete the show because they have no way of taking yourself out of the show. Put your log in again on your cell phone, and you will have to delete the show because you'll hear big echo sound and everything. There's no way you could delete yourself off the show. Once you log in, you could take somebody else off, like remove them, whatever. But you can't remove yourself. If you got three of yourself on there, I kept logging out, coming in, and I had like four of my profiles on there at one time. It was so much noise. I just deleted the broadcast, started all over again. That was 2 nights ago. You know.
All
It,
right.
anyway, about this topic tonight, if Africa went developed their basic infrastructure, gave everyone basic health care, basic transportation, basic logistics, basic everything right now, bring millions of people to the first world overnight. If everybody had an apartment, access to running water, a refrigeration, basic health care, and stuff like that, just normal ordinary life, you would have enough power in Africa to create a middle class, and that right there it would be the world balance of power, not weapons. Because as long as Africa is this level of poverty, weapons is not going to help anything. Because like I said, West don't have to worry about Africa. Because the only thing Africa threat is not even other neighbors. It's uh, keeping their people in line. And you keep your people in line by raising the standard of living. If people got a basic standard of living, they're not trying to overthrow their government. They're not trying to go to war with nobody. So that's my thing about Africa. They don't need nuclear weapons. All you have to do is develop the continent. That's it. And then Africa really doesn't need the West because it has 1 billion people. If 1 billion people could trade with each other, and we had data centers, and you could basically trade with each other, and you had transportation to get from one country to another, one visa for the whole continent, that would be Africa would be more powerful than the United States, Russia, and with all their friggin' nuclear weapons. Africa would be that powerful, you know. But
Somebody in the chat room says very disingenuous by comparing nukes to infrastructure.
it's not disingenuous, you know. Those countries that got nuclear weapons are developed. You know, they're developed countries. You know, you can't talk about weapons until you develop. You know, that's the most important thing.
Would you consider Pakistan and India developed countries?
Yeah, pretty much. You see India lately, they're now building high-speed trains themselves. They're not importing rolling stock. They can build it themselves. India is part of the Pungloi group, you know. Pungloi builds infrastructure all over the world. India got subway systems and everything. You know, yeah, they got millions of people in poverty, but they also got a large number of first world people equal to the United States, you know. So in other words, they got a first world part of India equal to the United States. Same thing with China. Yeah, they got a lot of people living off the grid still. But like, if you got 300 million people living on the grid, you're just as strong as the United States. Yeah, you can have nuclear weapons when you got that power, you know? But when you're poor and you don't have any running water, the basics and everything, what the hell is it good to have nuclear weapons, you know? So I yield to Kid Ola, you know?
Go ahead, Ola.
Yeah, thank you, Dad. I think Africans can maintain that material. You know, it's too expensive to maintain. People that can maintain their economies, how can they maintain something that they will normally abandon later and neglect? You know, black people like to cut corners, and cutting corners is such materials you have to be fixed. You know, those things will not make us happy. You know, we're supposed to have our economy and security, do well for ourselves, develop some simple infrastructures that will put us in a better position, you know, in terms of better living and you know, and all those things. The Indians and the Pakistanis that have it, we just say God bless them, you know, because maintaining that is very, very expensive. You know, Africans leaders they're just too corrupt to maintain. Don't understand that the Indians are not corrupt themselves, but we're not disciplined enough. You know, it takes them time. Even this so-called local transport airline, it took them time before they have to be fixing on it. Some of the year, let me just go this trip. I come back. When I come back, you know, the mechanic come and check everything. When you have such a material, you have to have proper place to store it. Some of these African countries, they might even be smoking around there, thinking there's nothing will happen. You know, I think we're not there yet. I think we should focus more on other things. Yeah, I understand if you have that thing, nobody will touch you. You're far more powerful. But I don't see that is not our focus now. We should focus on knocking up corruption, building the necessary infrastructure that's supposed to be built by the taxpayers' money, and they should stop taking the money to London or somewhere to start buying mansions actually they don't really need. Thank you, Dennis.
All right, go ahead, Negus.
Yeah, can you hear me, Dennis?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with the previous caller. Africa is way too immature right now to have nuclear weapons, just as a whole. Like, again, Pakistan is a military dictatorship. And again, they stole those nukes. But again, Africa as a whole, like, you know, is just too immature. There's civil wars. There's terrorists that owns large swaths like Nigeria. I think Tinubu said, like, I gave up the north of Nigeria. I think Tinubu said something like recently. He said, I gave up the north of Nigeria because there's not enough infrastructure. Something like that.
Did he really say that? Find a link to that.
He said something like it. I can't find it. I don't have it all, but he said something like that. You know, they can't even manage like their entire country, but they can manage nukes. Like, it takes money to manage. It takes money to manage that stuff, and like they're not in a position. It'll be nice. Like, you need a functioning and capable government to manage nuclear weapons. or like or have an army, and they can't even do that. Like Russia, China, the country has weapons. Like these are serious countries, like Turkey, Russia, China, America. These are like developed countries. One party dictatorships. Africa is is too unstable, too much instability. There's coups, all that stuff. It would be nice, but I think Africa is not. That's not. It shouldn't be something to be prioritized right now. Like the only country I would think that should have nukes is Botswana. Like Botswana is it's a stable country. Like I don't know if you guys know about Botswana. Like there's no civil wars, no coups. Like recently they just voted out the president. They voted out a new president. It's a very stable country. Like it's a stable country. I think Botswana should have like not nuclear weapon, but like a nuclear program to study, pretty much like for nuclear energy. It's a stable country. Most other countries are unstable. Most countries in Africa, there's civil wars, coups, militias. Like I said, it would be nice to have nuclear weapons, but it's just Africa is not in the. It's too unstable to have weapons or nuclear weapons at this point. You guys want to pass the mic?
All right, go ahead. You and I go ahead, sister.
Hello, brothers.
Yes.
Prince, thank you so much for the conversation. And this is a great question. Why don't Black nations have any nuclear weapons? Should we have nuclear weapons? I mean, what's the purpose of nuclear weapons? It's destruction, right? I think on a spiritual level, Black people, Black nations have always been about creation and not destruction. So since the purpose of nuclear weapons is destruction, it's like something that doesn't come into the conscience of Black nations, I think, on a much deeper level, right? So then thinking about the world in which we live, where they have the nuclear weapons and they have the desire to destroy the rest of the world, then we should ask ourselves if we should have the nuclear weapons as a defense mechanism and as a persuasion mechanism just to make ourselves, feared and so we don't get attacked, because today as it stands, who gives the power to all these nuclear power? Who gives them the power to become superpowers? Is actually Africa. It's the natural resources from the Congo that allowed America to create what they created and to bomb Japan. And apparently, even the scientist Einstein wrote to an American president and told them, hey, don't ever allow the Congo to be in charge of their own resources. This is why we have war, endless war. Because if they ever do, then they'll become the superpower. Then Africa will become the superpower. So Africa has the potential to become the superpower, given the fact that it is actually the natural resources from Africa that make these superpowers. All the military power and technology that they have, they can't have it without African natural resources. So moving forward, for the sake of self-protection, Africa should definitely think of original ways to defend itself, original ways that maybe they don't even know about, because right now they know about the nuclear weapons. So I'm thinking that Africans could even be way more creative and come out with self-defense mechanism that they have no clue what they are and how they function. Thank you. I'm gonna keep listening.
Vovo Rance, go ahead.
Can you hear me, brother?
Loud and clear.
To answer the topic of the room, because Black nations don't work together. That's been historically the problem. They can't get away with the things they can get away with if it was some type of unity. It ain't no unity. For some reason, when these so-called Black nations see white skin, they get horny for it. They get horny for it. It's just, oh my God, these people are gods. They are almighty. They are so smart. and they end up selling each other out. That's the first problem you got to fix. Another problem is, that's the major problem. Another problem is all of the talent leaves the black countries. The H-1B1 visa thing, that's brilliant. That's smart. Get the best of the best. You're not going to stop immigrants in America. There's always going to be some foreigners around here. Might as well get the best of the best. If they would stay home and nurture the talent there and pass on their work to the next generation instead of the next generation having to start from the bottom like they did. They got to fix that problem. All their talent shouldn't be leaving. Do you remember, Donis, when that lady when she sprayed that Gorilla Glue on her hair? It was about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And she couldn't get that Gorilla Glue. She couldn't break the glue, and it was stuck to her hair. They thought she was going to lose her hair, maybe even possibly die. But minimum, they thought that they was going to lose her hair. That was an African doctor that unlocked their hair and saved their hair.
Right.
He was the only one in the country that can do that. It was a GoFundMe for her. They was trying to fly her around the country. She wanted to go see all these white doctors. That brilliant African doctor was the only person in America that could unlock that lady's hair. He's over here. He could be using his talents in Africa, in his homeland. They won't do it. The first thing they think about doing is getting the fuck up out of there. They don't want nothing to do with that. They won't take the hit. They won't take the hit. And as long as America and these white countries can dangle these little trinkets in front of them, they're going to always lead. And there'll never be a nuclear power. They will always be under the thumb of the West. Appreciate you letting me speak, brother.
All right, go ahead, Jackie. Jackie.
Could you stop doing that, please? We're on a platform with so many people that don't know me personally, and you always give people my first name. Stop doing that, please. Like for years.
What would you like to go by?
What it says on the screen. What does it say that?
Black Beauty. Okay, Black Beauty. Go ahead.
We're going by Black Beauty, a Black Beauty to be exact.
Okay, a Black Beauty. Go ahead.
Yes, because I would like to know the names of people like Woman and all these other people, right? Like, what are their names with all of the businesses that they're building in Africa, right? Let's not put my personal details out there. Dinus.
Yep, that's my name.
Or is it the other one?
Well, my name is Dinus.
Oh, I thought you had another name.
Dinus is my first name.
All right. Anyhow,
but Black Beauty, if you have a business in Nigeria, how would people get to know about your business if you don't want to?
The business is not dependent upon me, just like several other businesses are not dependent upon the people that own it, right? The businesses are not dependent upon my face and my own likeness. They're their own product that stand on their own with advertising, right?
Okay. Go ahead, Black Beauty.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So we're talking about, what are we talking about? Nuclear weapons in Africa?
Yep.
What is the question exactly? What, they should have one, or?
Yeah, why don't black nations have any nuclear weapons?
Okay, that's a different question. Why don't? I think the reason why nuclear weapons, why we don't have them, is because it wasn't our technology to begin with. We didn't create the concept of it. So we don't own the right to it, and Europeans don't believe that we should have that technology because it's theirs. That's what I personally believe. And not to say that it's the right thing, but that's probably the reason why, right? Like the weaponry was not designed by us. And so the people that design the weaponry, they feel that they should own it, and whomever they feel should have it is who has it. Maybe we should design our own weaponry that is suited for the purposes of African countries. Yeah. So that's what I would say. That would be my answer to that.
Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit the like button if you guys wanna call in. Go and hit the wrap that fish up in 1040 paperwork. Let's talk about Terrence. Go ahead, Vovo.
Another thing, we got to get with the times. Well, they got to get with the times. I'm in America. I'm Gucci. But they got to get with the times. Africans never seen a musket until the Europeans brought it over there. They thought that was a magic killing stick of death, and that's what it was. But that don't mean you shouldn't figure out how you can use it. I need to figure out what you got. I need to get on your level. If everybody on earth, I'm against guns, but I own guns. I got a gun right here. I got a gun in every room in my house. I believe that human beings don't have the emotional intelligence to walk around with these big instruments of death. These big, if you like an AR-15 or some shit, the one guy in Vegas, I think he killed like 59 people and shot 250 people by himself. Imagine if you had 10 of those. I believe that we don't have the emotional intelligence to walk around with these big instruments of death. That's why it's so much killing. But I'm not a fool either. If everybody else got a gun, I'm going to make sure I got me a gun. If everybody else walking around with a slingshot, I'm going to make sure I'm walking around with a slingshot too. Everybody got a knife, I'm going to have a knife too. Everybody got nuclear bombs, I want to have a nuclear bomb too. The only way to stop a bad guy with the gun is a good guy with the gun. A bad guy with the gun, you can't stop him with your hands.
That's true.
You can't stop him with the knife. You need to have the equal firepower. You need to have equal firepower. That's what Iran was trying to do. Get equal firepower. And I'm no fan of Iran. I'm no fan of the Arab at all. Period. I don't care what happened to them, to be honest with you. Being quite honest. I do not care. I'm America first. Them people don't like black people anyway, historically. So I ain't got nothing. I ain't about to lose no tears. I ain't gonna lose no sleep or none of that for what they going through. That's not my business. But I understand what they was trying to do. North Korea always doing nuclear tests. That's a little small island nation. They don't even got the whole island. They got to split the island in half, North Korea and South Korea. They make sure they got nuclear bombs because they seen what America did with their nuclear bombs in the Pacific.
It's actually a peninsula, not an island.
Huh?
It's a peninsula, not an island.
Peninsula. Okay, peninsula. Whatever it is. You know what I'm saying, though. They seen what they did before in the Pacific when they nuked Japan. And this is something that I'm the only one that I ever seen on the internet talk about this. Nobody's ever said this. You've never heard anybody say this. I'm the only one that I've ever seen talk about this. Not only did they nuke Japan, everybody knows about the nuclear bombs they dropped on Japan. Nobody talks about the nuclear bombs they tested on Bikini Island. Google that. Bikini Island, like the bathing suit bikini. It was a people. That's a people. Used to be a people. Those people are extinct. America tested a nuclear bomb on them. That's un-American to me. But, they tested a nuclear bomb on these people. And these people are extinct now. There's documentaries on it. There's articles on it. There's New York Times articles on it. It's in National Geographic. I've studied this extensively. They tested a bomb on the people of Bikini Island. Look that up. So after they see these people getting did like this in the Pacific, hell yeah, they went and got a nuclear bomb. North Korea was smart. They want to have equal firepower, which they don't. Nobody has equal firepower to America, but you got to try. So that way of thinking that it's not our weapon and we shouldn't be using it, and you got to get on people's level.
But then, if that's the case, no, I completely agree with you, Bobo. But I want to know, like, if that's the case, why don't we have one? And I think it has a lot to do with like political environment and worldwide organizations that are trying to deter Africa from using their own resources to have a very similar type of weapon. So, even though you and I do feel that way too, if you should have the same similar firepower to your adversaries, yeah. But at the same time, if they're not allowing you to develop that, then what is the recourse? How do you go around and create that thing without sanctions, etc.?
Well, sis, that's a defeatist mindset.
No, I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm asking. I'm posing a question. I don't have a mindset. Can I be honest? As a woman, I don't have a mindset about weaponry. Let's be real.
Well, here's the thing. What do you mean they don't let you? You do what you run your country. You have the resources. Learn how to develop these resources. Your champions got to stop leaving. You can't win a championship if all the champions leaving. If all the brilliant, smart people leaving and they join in the West, they in Australia, Canada, America, they all in Europe, they in China now. You can't win like that. So if all your champions leave, you're making the other team better.
That's true.
You can develop these things. These things are on planet Earth. They're in the ground. You got to develop this shit. You got to take the hit. You got to be willing to do the sacrificing. So until Africa get that type of mindset, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to just have to wait. You're going to have to wait and see what the West going to let you do.
All right, Miss Sandman, go ahead, Miss Sandman.
Hey, hi. Thank you for letting me on your platform. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but nuclear power is extremely dangerous. Y'all heard about Chernobyl, right? That's actually in Ukraine. That place is actually still uninhabitable to this day, and that happened, 70, 80 years ago? Oh, maybe it wasn't that long ago. I don't know. It's just a long time ago. But yeah, I've actually had to work with nuclear or radioactive material before, and the guys that I work with, nobody wanted to go in that room because they know how dangerous it is. When you make something radioactive, you ionize the atoms inside of it, and that radiation, radiates outside of the source of the radioactive source of it, so it can actually ionize the atoms in your body and give you all kinds of mutations and diseases and cancer, so on and so forth. And it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources just to maintain it, and keep it in a safe area. That's why a lot of nuclear plants, you'll see them even in the United States, where they'll be right next to a large body of water. I think that's why the dynamics of having a nuclear power plant in Africa is kind of something tough to deal with, being that it's such a hot environment and you have to have it close to a large body of water so that you can maintain the temperature of the nuclear reactors so they don't overheat and explode like they did in Chernobyl. But yeah, if any African nation wants to develop that technology, just know that you're not only putting other countries in danger, you're putting your own people in danger if you don't maintain it properly, and you don't have the resources to maintain it properly. Also,
But
you got to keep in mind if you're going to use it as a projectile, in a missile, you need the right equipment to make sure that it hits the target that you're aiming it towards. So you need all types of access to GPS satellites and so on and so forth, so you can hit your tactic, your target accurately. And that's something that I know we have access, or Africans have access to to satellites in that orbit our planet, but they don't really have control of those satellites to navigate their missiles. So that'll be something that they will have to corroborate with another more powerful entity that has access to that, like China. We know that Elon Musk has several satellites out there, and he's gaining all kinds of power in that way. So yeah, I just think you got to ask yourself, if is it worth it? Not only is it dangerous to other people, but it's also dangerous to yourself, and it takes a whole lot of time, effort, and money to maintain it before it's utilized.
Could I say this to your point? Isn't it dangerous not having it at this point? Like at this point, it's dangerous not having it. What do you have to lose? Like what do you have to lose? It's dangerous not having it. You have to enter the 21st century. It's time that they enter the 21st century. Somebody got to take a risk. Somebody got to take a risk. Don't Africans tend to be smart? brilliant. They had all these great civilizations once before. If these white folks can do it, why the Africans can't do it? Why the black nations can't do it? I mean, like that's why, like, bro, I really can't rock with Pan-Africanists because it's just always going to be an excuse. Nobody's willing to take the hit. It's a lot of big talk, but don't nobody be willing to take the hit. Somebody got to sacrifice.
Are you aware of like the power plant of nuclear radio? I mean, the
Yeah,
half-life of nuclear radiation.
bro. Yeah, I don't know if you was here earlier. I talked about that. I talked about Bikini Island. But if go and look up Bikini Island, but that nuclear, them people are extinct. Just the nuclear, they tried to go back and live on the land, right? The land was so contaminated, they was having babies that weren't even like a baby come out just a blob of flush that's breathing, like a blob of flush that's breathing. It really will fuck you up. But aren't these smart people? If they can do it, everybody else can do it. The Chinese doing it, the Russians doing it. Not Iran. Iran was doing it. The North Koreans was doing it. Ukraine was doing it. They stopped doing it. I mean, what's wrong here? Like it's time to stop making excuses. Like, are these guys serious?
So the United States don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons, right? And they just bombed their nuclear testing sites, right?
I know, but they had the will to do it.
So you don't think another power would try to bomb an African nation if they try to develop nuclear weapons?
I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure.
Hey, guy. Let me pass, bro. Yeah, but let me pass the mic to woman. Woman, what's your first name, woman?
Woman.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, woman.
No, my first name is the woman.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, the woman. Go ahead.
I wanted to comment on Vovo and Sandman's discussion, but Donis, before I can do that, I didn't hear your intro. What exactly is your take on the topic? Because I just saw it says nuclear weapons. So what exactly was your intro for today?
Well, I think Africa. I don't think Africa has any capability to defend itself. Period. Militarily, if a country decides to shoot a missile at the majority of African countries, we're screwed. Like, as far as do we have any technology to intercept missiles? Do we have our own Golden Dome or Iron Dome, whatever it's called? Fighter jets? Like, it's just.
Yeah, Africa lazy.
Okay, so that's true. No, I don't think there are any countries on the continent, even the Arab countries, that have nuclear warheads. It makes sense that Africa, as it's moving forward, African nations should be developing nuclear energy for the purpose of powering their cities, their countries. But what happened to Iran, and someone just mentioned it, is extremely important. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been having this discussion about, should Black Americans be concerned about what's happening to the Mexican or Hispanic immigrants? So I'd like to kind of intertwine that into what I'm going to say, right? So why should African people, or people who consider themselves Africans, be concerned about what's happening to Iran? Like Vovo said, it only makes sense that if someone has a shotgun, you can't come in there with a baseball bat. You need a shotgun as well in order to stand a chance. And so if America has over 5,000 nuclear warheads, it only makes sense that other countries should try to develop that as well. So if America is going to keep its arsenal, then of course, African countries, nations, as soon as they're able to, need to start developing nuclear warheads as well. The reason being, it's the only way to stop America. See, America wants us to believe that it's okay that they have all of these nuclear warheads because we're supposed to trust that they're the good guys and that they're going to do the right thing. But as history has shown us, they're not good guys at all. And even when they claim to be America first, it's not really America first. It's most. I'm sorry?
What were we stopping America from doing? I'm just wondering.
Well, look at what it just did to Iran, right? So they bombed the supposed nuclear sites. Now, as Sandman mentioned, it's not like you can just, pour enrich uranium and just, you can't just pour that stuff into a container and move it somewhere, right? If they destroy those sites and that stuff gets out, it poses as an extreme threat to the population in Iran, regardless of how you feel about supposed the Arab people there. There's innocent children there. There's 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, newborn babies there who could possibly face exposure to radiation if it's not contained properly. So the US just wants to go around the world, do whatever the hell they want to do because they have this massive arsenal of nuclear weapons and no one else is allowed to do it. And the reason why no one else can go ahead and get nuclear weapons is because America wants to be the boss of everybody. That's really what it is. They want to continuing doing whatever they want, whenever they want, and not having anyone else step up and tell them no. And that's why they don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. And they're telling us this lie about, oh, well, they're a threat to us if they have it. But America has thousands, like I said, over 5,000 nuclear warheads. So they're a threat to the entire world. Who is stopping them from doing it? Who is demanding that they dismantle their warheads? Who is demanding that they get rid of all of the missiles that they have? Who is demanding that their nuclear sites? Who's bombing their nuclear sites? The reality is, as Africa is trying to develop nuclear power and nuclear war and nuclear armament is going to become part of that plan. And the reason we should be concerned about that is because if we consider ourselves Pan-Africans and we want to go back to Africa and build something in Africa, America is going to be a threat to us constantly because as Africa is trying to develop and as they try to develop nuclear energy for powering their cities and for power and for protection as well, America can easily do the same thing they did to Iran, just start bombing us like crazy and claim that they're doing it because if Traore gets starts developing nuclear energy, oh, it's because he's a threat to whatever other country they want to claim. Oh, he's going to be a threat to America if he gets nuclear energy. Oh, Mali's going to be a threat to us if they get nuclear energy. So we're going to just start bombing them because we don't want them to develop any kind of nuclear energy, nuclear power. That's what they're going to try. Now, Iran has been developing enriching uranium for some time now, and they've always been telling us, oh, well, in 2 weeks, they're going to have a nuclear missile. And they're so many days away from it. We got to act now. We got to do this now. The reality is Israel what's his name? Netanyahu is the one who wanted Iran to be bombed. He's the one that has a personal grievance against, they want to be the only nuclear power in that region, as they're backed by America. So I believe I believe that they have their own nuclear war systems in place, their own nuclear weapons in place. And as I consider them to be nothing else than the arm of America in the Middle East. I count America's 5,000 nuclear warheads as part of their arsenal as well. And they want to be the only ones in that region with the capability of nuclear missiles. And that's why they bombed Iran. And it's concerning because
Madam, hold on. Africa does not need no damn nuclear energy for light or anything. The black people, this is not about having polygamous family or whatever it is. This is not about black power of a thing. Tory cannot get that shit. That thing, Africa can maintain it. We don't have the ability to focus for 40 years, focus on something. We can't even develop HIV meds to cure HIV. Then you talk Africa to come and focus on something about 50
what
years.
What are you talking about? First of all,
Hold on.
I agree with Ola here.
Let me say something. Ola just made a really wild statement about how Africans cannot develop
HIV. What?
First of all,
come on the continent and come live it so you can observe. I agree with that.
First of all, if you guys can be quiet, I'd like to fact check Ola because y'all just jumping in and agreeing with nonsense.
This man dumb as hell, bro.
He really is dumb as hell. But anyway, his wife is white, so what do you expect?
Africa cannot develop HIV medicine to treat the people when America cut it off, they were on their knees begging. That you wanted to focus on science.
Why are you talking about HIV?
But no, I understand where Olaf's coming from.
What is wrong
woman. There was hold on, woman. There was a gay guy in Nigeria in Abuja. He was being interviewed the other day, and he was blaming. I think he blamed Donald Trump on why he got AIDS.
Okay,
why are we talking about?
So I can't understand what Ola
Why are we
said.
talking about gay
Can
guys?
I please respond to what Ola said? Because I don't like when people throw out a bunch of nonsense.
Okay, you got 30 seconds. I got past.
Okay, Ola said that Africa cannot develop their own HIV medication. That is Complete nonsense. In fact, there is currently an HIV vaccine that was developed and tested by an African doctor in South Africa that is right now in the last phase of clinical trials. So you need to shut the hell up about Africa can't do what Africa can't do and check your facts. Just because your wife is white, don't come on here talking nonsense.
You see, you want to make it personally now. Madam, you see, I don't talk with big mouth. I talk with reality.
Oh, shut up, bro.
You get me? So I don't talk very loud because I want to prove something. I'm an African. We cut corners a lot. We can't even produce paracetamol. We were used to doing it before. We have to go to Pakistan or India to start getting this shit.
Why does Africans feel like they need
that
Pakistani?
that material
No,
you're
it's
talking
not that.
about? Hold on, dude. Africa cannot even build a plane to say they even build a plane that even move
Africa
on the
can
air.
build a plane. Wow.
Hold on,
Africans
bro.
are
Hold on.
stupid.
It took this white people, one person been focused for 50 years, sitting there. This is not about showing six pack. This is not about dancing bubble. This is about focus on something. These scientists, they sit there for 50 years. We can't even sit for 2 hours before
Bro,
Africa
hold
started
up,
dancing
bro.
and
I
dancing
don't
over
agree
there.
with that.
You think just something without measure like that? Africa can't even focus for 2 hours.
Gaddafi was building stuff. What happened to
Gaddafi is
Gaddafi
not
when
a
he was
black
building
man.
his own
Just
infrastructure in Libya?
corrected. It's not an HIV vaccine. It's an HIV cure that they've developed in South Africa.
It
woman, they
would be
haven't,
permitted
they
on the
haven't,
market,
they
though.
haven't, they
Will it be
haven't
permitted
released
on the
it
market?
yet. Like
Yeah, but it's in the
they're
final
working on it.
stages of clinical trials. It's in the final stages of trials, and they've shown that they've been able to keep people.
All I'm saying is I see both sides. I see where Ola's coming from because again, you brought up HIV. There was literally a guy, a gay guy in Abuja who's upset at Donald Trump because he caught HIV because of the lack. Because when USA pulled their funding, he was blaming that for the reason why he got HIV. I just thought it was
That's one
wild.
individual on a continent of billions of people, and the reality is, Ola, if that's how you can talk about Nigeria then, but don't include all of Africa. You
The
talking
whole of
about
Africa,
Nigeria?
I'm telling you, the whole of black society cannot build nothing that you want them to sit. They will kill themselves even with that thing. I think most African countries don't need that thing. We can't maintain it. We will cut corners. We would neglect it. Look, Africa was a producer of even the simple paracetamol. They were doing it. What did they do? All those technicians, everything closed up. Now they have to go to Pakistan, India, to buy all these things that they were commonly doing. Africa, you think this is easy to maintain? People that have all these things, they focus on it, expert for expert. The generation per generation, it doesn't one generation just, oh, I'm a scientist now. They build people on it.
Guys, one mic. Mike, if you want to call back in, I was just about to pass the mic to you, but you logged off.
So what I mean, is,
hold on, Ola. So Mike, if you want to call back in again, just click the link. I was gonna pass you the mic, but you let me pass it to Skywalker. Go ahead, Skywalker. Let me just tell Skywalker.
Hey, how you doing, Donis?
Doing good, man.
Hey, hi. I just want to introduce myself to the panel. Hope everyone's having a great evening. I think that the reason Africa doesn't have nuclear weapons, it speaks for itself. I think that we have so many puppet leaders, and I mean, you would think that it would make sense for the entire continent to unite and have one army, but neo-colonialism has been successful in that respect. But I do want to say that when we look around and look what Europeans are doing, right? Even though I don't think we should care about what they're doing, but Europeans practice Pan-Africanism. I mean not Pan-Africanism. They practice Pan-Europeanism. Let us say that, right? Almost most of America is named after Europe, right? New Hampshire, New York, yada 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 yada, right? They have no problem working together. The UN is a pan-European organization. All Europeans have come together to make sure that that they're able to defend their race. But the problem with black people is that we put countries before race, and that is a blunder on our behalf. Black people must, if we want to survive, right, we should put race before country. And the reason we should put race before country is because, hell, before we got any kind of semblance of freedom, no matter where we were on the continent, we were enslaved. And so it mattered not what country we were from or what tribe we were from, which dictated our status. So it should be the same in freedom. We should treat ourselves the same way as one people. And also, I was going to say one more thing. Oh, well, yeah. And, one army, one language, one everything is just too powerful for Black people to even imagine, right? Because Black people speak so many different languages, they are stuck in one hallway, and that hallway is a colonial hallway, right? And even the Black people who speak multiple languages, they champion the colonial languages more than they champion their own. So Black people, it's so difficult for Black people to think on one accord because we've been so divided mentally. Somebody asked me, why do Black people don't take Juneteenth serious here in America, right? Why don't we come outside and shoot guns in the air, for Juneteenth? And my response, like we do for, like the 4th of July or whatever. And my response was, I think subconsciously, which means, it's a fact that our mind is aware of, but not aware of, in a sense, right? So subconsciously, African Americans know that they're not free. That's why they don't celebrate Juneteenth, right? They know that they're physically free, but freedom isn't. But like physical freedom and mental freedom are two. I mean, like to me, in my opinion, freedom isn't it's not something you can just have part of, right? You can't be physically free and then mentally free, or mentally enslaved and then physically free. You have to be completely free, physically and mentally, in order to have true liberation or true freedom. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
Black people.
Let me pass the mic to Bobo. I'll pass it to Vin Head of TV. Go ahead, Bobo.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'm
passing to Bobo first. I'm gonna pass it to you, Bobo.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
He can go. I'll go next.
Go ahead, Vin Head.
All right. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I want to say this. I read a book called The State of Blood by Henry Kiemba, who was a high-ranking official in Idi Amin's regime, right? And in that book, he had stated that after Idi Amin took the railroad systems and the farms from the Europeans, he was struggling to find people within his own country who had the skill sets for large-scale farming and to run the railroad systems. So one of his answer to his problems, he surmised, was to call in the African Americans, because coming out of slavery and post-slavery during with the building of the railroad systems in America, we built a lot of those systems most people don't look into, but we built a lot of those systems in the Midwest, Southeast, etc., as well as we had skill sets for large-scale farming. Kiemba said in his book that the other high-ranking officials and ministers in Idi Amin's regime said no, and they didn't want to, because they were afraid that they would lose their positions in society due to the skill sets that Black Americans would bring with them. So in essence, they allowed their country to fall into squalor because of greed and just thinking of themselves. Thinking in reverse, with that being said, in reverse, Pan-Africanism, if actually practiced, would work, because those of us who have skill sets that we picked up all around the world would have various countries we can go to and put ourselves to work and lift those countries off the ground. So we have the skill sets. That's not the issue. The issue is that we think of each other as others, and because of that, there's no unity between us. Thank you, brothers.
Hey, Dinus, can I ask you a question? Well, let me just say one more thing before I get off, because I'm gonna roll. But like the question is, like, why don't we have nuclear weapons, right? But I think even a more deeper question is, why hasn't some African country set aside about, like 8 or 10 million acres or whatever of land, or maybe like, 15 million acres of land, call it diaspora, and ask the diaspora to move there, in particular, African Americans, Caribbeans who got skills and yada 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 to move there, and that way, Africa can have, its own resource center for development around the rest of the continent. I mean, that just seems to make sense, right? Rather than having to reach out to other people, what I'm saying, to do anything when we got all these resources in the diaspora. But I think the answer to every question like that, like why haven't they did that? Why don't we have nuclear weapons? Why don't we do this? It's because we have puppet leaderships in most of the countries in Africa, and the only 3 countries that doesn't have puppet leadership, as a result, are having to reach out to other people. But in my opinion, the only blunder on their behalf is they should be reaching out more to the diaspora for help. But you guys have to take it easy. That's all I have to say.
Okay, go ahead, Bobo.
So that part was true what he said right there. If it's Pan Africanism, yeah, you should be reaching out to the diaspora for help. That's what you're supposed to do. That's in an ideal situation. That's what it would be. You should be able to go. You should be able to send your children to Jamaica to learn how to for the skill trades, or you should be able to go to Kenya for the tech trades. And they should be. That's really what Dr. Umar's ideal is he wants to train the children in Pan Africanism and then send them back into the global Black universe, the Black countries, into the Black countries. Train them up while their children get their skills together, and then they go back and be leaders, and they go back and be the people that run the countries. That's smart. That's just smart. If everybody's supposed to be, they're all one Black people, and they're all going to make it happen, and it's all Pan Africanism, and we have one race, we're one race, and all that shit. That's what they're supposed to do. That's actually smart. As far as what the guy said, talking about we're not free, we know that we're not free, and all that. I don't know. That's just old man babble. That kind of stuff is goofy. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna leave that alone. It was something earlier that was said about would they bomb African countries and all that if they try to develop nuclear weapons? That's the fear. That's the fear right there. Fear is stall you out. Fear make you, if you scared to do something, you will procrastinate, and before you know it, it'll be too late, and you done missed your opportunity. I don't think that they would necessarily bomb African countries. Why?
They bomb and destroy any country that tries to develop nuclear capabilities.
That's just not true. How do we know that that's not
Name one country that the U.S. has allowed. Name one country that NATO has allowed to develop nuclear capabilities.
I can name two.
North Korea.
I can name two.
Pakistan,
India, Pakistan.
I wanted to finish my point.
India and Pakistan, they were surprised when they started. India and Pakistan developed their weapons without the US knowing, and they were very surprised when they decided to test it. That was not done with consent. They did that.
No, you understand that. They did it with stealth. That's how you do it.
But I said name a country that the U.S. allowed, and so that's my whole point. I'm in agreement with Volvo and whoever else that thinks that Africa needs to develop nuclear power. I absolutely agree, and I think we need to do it the way that India and Pakistan did it.
I think Africa needs to
if you would just give me 30 seconds.
I think Africa needs to develop food power first.
It was my turn, man.
Go ahead, Bobo. Go ahead, finish, Bobo.
Thank you. North Korea, China, all these, Russia. There's a lot of nuclear powers in the world.
They were not, listen, that was, first of all, those programs started long before. They were not allowed to. They did it without permission. And countries right now, if any country right now tries to start developing, enriching uranium.
Yeah, you'll get it once you let me finish. You're too
okay, sorry, go ahead.
Their problem was they're stupid. They came out, and it's a part of their policy, saying death to Israel, death to America. They're saying this out loud in the street, saying this. They're attacking them. You wait till you get the job done, then you raise your hand. I used to be a boxer, right? I was fairly good. I used to like to showboat in the ring. I ended up showboating and I got hurt. And my coach told me, the work ain't done. You showboating and you ain't beat the guy yet. You gotta wait till the end, then you can celebrate. You don't come out early talking about death to America, death to Israel. you're giving them a reason to bomb you. I'm not going to let my enemy get equal weapon. So that was their problem. They're in the street talking about death to Israel, death to America. They should have shut their mouth.
Okay, let me pass it to Abdul. Abdul, unmute yourself. In fact,
Yes, guys.
Abdul, before that, let me read these super chats. JCE, thank you for the 499 holla. The Glock, Smith & Wesson, Colt, AK are all adventures of the white men. Let's start with guns, then we can begin to talk about nukes. Kwame Raniame, Mental Wholesale, thank you for 499 holla. Africa don't have ballistics or hypersonic weapons and fighter jets. Expect exploitation in the 21st century. You can't defend your citizens with voodoo. Roland Curtis off Vermont Avenue. Wouldn't cyber attacks backdoor first world technological weaponry, including nuclear weapons? Should Nigeria and Africa focus on mastering cyber warfare? All right, go ahead, Abdul.
Yes, I feel like Africa obtaining a nuclear weapon will deter some of these vultures that we have that are going over to Africa and manipulating, threatening some of our leaders. Some of these our leaders are actually under threat, and some of them do have a scope right in their head, from the CIA, the MI6, and I will not say Israel, because the Mossad are they more likely to operate in the Middle East. But these major players like France, they do have scope already in some of these leaders, and some of these leaders, they know that. And that's why not too long ago, when the Africans went to I think Russia, and they said they want to start exploiting their natural resources, Europe went in flame, and they start saying, "Oh no, oh, it's global warming. You guys cannot continue. You guys cannot industrialize," and that's the problem right there. So it's like now we have this big brother, or this father or mother, that is telling us what to do and what not to do, because we don't have the necessary skills to put in place a nuclear weapon to deter these vultures. And as far as some of these countries that do obtain nuclear weapon, the guy was saying, he's right. Iran, they show their hand too quick. They should have just kept it quietly, and they already were at the threshold, 60%. But once they start saying death to America and death to Israel, and that's it. I mean, uh, Israel would be a fool not to act before these guys get to 90%. So the guy is right on that path. But for me, my opinion, Africa do need to have a nuclear weapon. We do have a lot of uranium in certain different places of Africa. And for those who are listening from Africa, please, if these are the intention of creating something like that, I would love for you guys to bring all the native doctors so we can combine it with African voodoo, so to exploit that, do research scientifically and spiritually, to create something will be much more menacing than a nuclear weapon, which will be even more powerful if we can control the thunder lightning that will come from the sky through voodoo.
All right, let me pass it to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so I think that you guys first I think you guys got it wrong about the reason why the United States attacked Iran. Iran is a signatory to the nuclear proliferation treaty. So that gave United States legal means to attack them if they tried to convert the nuclear energy into nuclear, make it military capable. So if you notice, North Korea didn't sign on to it. Pakistan, and India. So that's the reason why the U.S. couldn't get involved with them. But Iran messed up by signing on to that proliferation treaty. Had they not signed on to it, then it would not be an issue, because U.S. can't invade their sovereignty like that. And as far as Africa is concerned, about building nuclear capability and stuff like that, it takes high intelligence, and I think the average IQ in Africa is like 65, about 65, yeah, around there. So if Africa can't build planes and cars, what the hell you guys talking about? I yield the mic.
I think that's
Okay,
what Ola
sir,
was saying, right?
do you realize Africa have children over here in the United States that are very, very well educated, knows the know-how, have skills. Most of them are actually doctors and scientists. You can go to Tesla today and you'll find a lot of them.
A lot of
All right, let me read
Africans.
this. Let me read the super chat. Information Man Show. Thank you for $4 holla. Guys, hit the like button. If you have not hit that like button, please hit that like button. All right, go ahead.
No, here's the thing. Like he said, I said that earlier. They're over here. All Africa's best star players are somewhere else in the world, making another country great. The H-1B1 visa is really a scam because what they do is they work you, and you might and your citizenship ain't guaranteed. You might be over here 20 years, 30 years, still filling out paperwork. So you didn't have a family over here, and then now you old and washed up here. Just take your money and go back to your country. Now you ain't doing nothing. You're gonna just retire. They use you up. Like they use you up.
Most of them, like in corporate, most of them get married here so that they can affirm their status.
But that just because you marry somebody, that still don't guarantee your status.
I don't guarantee you that's true.
Yeah, so that like just because you do that, what that mean? They can send you back after 30 years, 20 years. People being deported, they've been over here 35 years, getting deported now. They use you. I mean, it's really smart. I'm taking away all your star players, put them on my team. I'm gonna use up their career, and then I'm gonna send them back over there when they're old and washed up. They ain't gonna understand.
But they also benefit. Bobo, they also benefit because they get to send money back to their home, and then they get to develop their homes back home.
And that's the trick bag right there. Instead of sending money back to your home, develop a system to where you don't have to send money back. You don't have to go through the headache of sending money back. Develop a system there where you can stay there and you can nurture the talent, nurture the next generation.
Vovo, I'm a young generation. I'm in my 30s. I don't know about the older generation, but our generation, we already have plan laid out from all walks of life. Those of us who are here. And most of us, like I said, we're just waiting for the infrastructure to be built. Most of us going to go back and implement some of these ideas over there. And as we're speaking right now, the infrastructure is being built by China and some of these other countries that came to say they're going to help out with the skilled labor to build these infrastructures. We cannot do it like basically we cannot just get up one day and say we're going to build the infrastructure because most of our skilled players, like you say, they're over here, and we don't have enough team to go over there and implement these things. But once that is settled, trust and believe, a lot of people, you will see a mass migration back home.
You're not.
I don't know about the older
Wild.
generation, but our generation will make sure that happens.
That's just not true, though, sir. You said you're in your 30s. You may get another 30, 40.
So hold on,
you
sir.
got another
So
30, 40 years. Hold on, wait,
by
real fast. You got another 30, 40 years left. They're over here starting families. Kids are in school. They're becoming a part of the culture and all that. How long do you think it's going to be built in the next 5 years, the infrastructure? No. This is going to take 100 years. You're not willing to take the hit. Like you said, I'm waiting for the infrastructure to be built. No, go be a part of the infrastructure. Whatever you're doing here, Africa could use it there. Nobody's willing to take the hit.
I already have folks down there right now that are working as I'm speaking to you, okay? So while the infrastructure is being built, we are also doing our part of, we playing our part to also help some of the youths over there, okay? There are institutions being built, there are labs being built. So he's not just gonna get up one day. China also did not just get up one day and stand on their own, okay?
40 years. 40 years.
Is like going up one day.
Well, you
speak. It took China 40 years, huh?
Okay, well,
Which African country you from? Which African country you from?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm from Sierra Leone.
So okay, let me tell you one thing. Nigeria might be the one of the without West Africa before one of the developed countries in that place.
Yes,
After some
Nigeria.
years, what happened? Because I start saying, oh, don't generalize all Africans. Don't generalize all Africans. Let me just tell you the truth. Africa totally. I'm saying that all West African, East Africans, they don't have ass to sit for 1 hour. All what they think about is to steal that money. They can't even maintain their own lights, electricity. That's that bring light to watch TV. They can't maintain nothing. They can't even maintain their planes. Some of these their local flights are being maintained by white people. Before the white people were not there, all these local flights they were all dropping from the sky. Look, let's go to India. You know that Air Indian was being made. That idea was mistake actually from the pilot. See, we're not like Africans or let me say black people are not like this. Is not about buying Gucci bag or Jimmy Choo shoes or this kind of things. These white people have been studying this for years. They sit their ass down. They study that. Yes, they can get some of these materials from Africa, but they've been building this thing for years. They start trade people that will take over. They start build trade people that will take over from them. It's just like dam. People who live in the water area, dam, and all these things. They bring more people up for more than 60 years. Africans can't even bring the next generation up. Most African leaders who have money, when they die, all their things die with them. They don't have what called maintenance culture. Look at the houses, their cars. They can't even maintain their cars. The road will be built by Africans before. What happened? They start giving it to China because they want to eat money. They want to be corrupt. They don't want to give it to the local people. That you want these people who can even sit for 30 minutes to think about something, that you want them to start bringing that shit to their own country that would destroy their farmland, destroy who they are as a human being, destroy who creature even. We don't want those things in Africa. They should start first by using the petrol to generate light, the diesel to generate light. They should start building transport system, bus system. Let's see.
Let's
They
get
can
off the generator.
you know, so not all these things like we cannot be talking big, having big dreams, so that is very, very huge. You know, very, very huge for a black man to control.
Yeah,
They
this
can't
guy's
even do
right.
it. They're very corrupt.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Can I just piggyback off him? Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. So what he said is 100% because if you think about it, right? China, it took 40 years for them to get to where they are right now. Now, Chinese people, I think they like twice the IQ of the black race. So if they took 40 years, how many goddamn years you think we're gonna take? Multiply that crap by two. I'm being serious. I mean, you guys don't want to say it. But
You cooning.
Okay, you say I'm cooning. Okay.
Yeah, you is cooning. Yeah,
right, hold on.
And you know you cooning.
Hold on. You say I'm
Yeah,
cooning.
he definitely cooning because that
Hold
IQ
on.
stuff has been disproved and it's slanted in the lighter skinned individuals direction anyway. So the IQ stuff is irrelevant, really.
Okay, so then explain to me why Chinese people outscore white people on those IQ, and the white people are the ones that design the IQ. Huh?
What is the IQ test? What are they testing for?
The IQ test is irrelevant to international building.
I'm gonna tell you, they are testing for abstract thinking, problem solving. Those are the things that they're looking for, right? So it's pretty much fair. But since you guys say it's biased towards us because it's written by white people, then explain to me how Asian people are outscoring white people on those tests.
I don't think white people are the smartest anyway. I don't think they're the smartest anyway. I think they're the most evil.
I want to say this, brother. I think that's irrelevant because if you look in China's history, right? At one time they were in the situation Africa is in now, right? They were separated among themselves. They were destitute. They were starving. They had no technological innovation going on. I'm talking about coming out of World War II. Coming out of World War II, China was decimated, right? No one could look at the landscape of China and start saying, "Hey," I'm talking about from a tangible point of view, and say, "Hey, these people IQ is double that of Europeans, and this is why they're this and that." Because the country was in horrendous shape. What they did do, though, they looked at the world around them. They said, "What are they doing? How could we take what they're doing and apply it to ourselves and build ourselves?" And they had the fortitude to do it, and that's what they did.
Okay,
Simple as that.
All right, so let me respond.
Exactly. Can I jump in here, please? Because
No. I want let Ben finish, and I gotta pass it to G Lacombe. Go ahead, dude.
All right, so my response to this person is, so when the Mongolians, right, tried to invade and pretty much enslave the Chinese, you know what the Chinese did? They built the Great Wall. Okay, they built that
The
big
barbarians.
the Mongolians. Those were the Mongolians. Now, Mongolians were the ones that were trying to
barbarians.
Okay, you want to call them it's Mongolians. But anyway, I'm not gonna argue over that. Why didn't Africa do the same thing? Why didn't they build something to defend themselves when the Europeans came in, or when the Arabs came in? Because the Arabs invaded Africa first before the Europeans.
You're going around. You're just going. You're not even attacking what I just said from a logical standpoint. Coming out of World War II, where was China? Where was China?
I just well, you gotta you ignoring
Hold on.
Japanese.
Where was China coming out of World War II?
But you're ignoring the Japanese who had colonized China. Also, you're ignoring that part of this.
I'm not.
I yield the mic.
No, I'm not.
Fellas, here's the thing. That is a sign of intelligence to be able to solve a problem. That's what they test for. That's what an IQ test is. The ability to problem solve. I gotta agree with them on that. They should be able to solve their problem. They have a problem here.
I agree with that. Let me say this. I agree with that. However, I don't think that's the end all be all. You can have the intelligence to solve a problem, but you have to have the mental and psychological fortitude to go through the necessary pains and steps and adversities you're going to come across in solving international and national problems as it relates to building a state.
That's what I said. Nobody's willing to take the hit in Africa. Everybody wants to get up out of it. We even seen the guy said, "I'm waiting."
When you say take the hit, what you mean, brother?
You got to go through the tough times.
You know what else that means?
Yeah, you have to
you're
go through
gonna have adversaries and people are gonna die. You're gonna have adversaries and people are gonna die.
Hold on, guy. Let me pass the mic to G. G, go ahead, G. Unmute yourself, G. Mute yourself, G. Mute yourself, G. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Colin.
Well, let me say this.
Go ahead, Bubba.
Okay. Yeah, people are going to die. Is that what you're saying? Okay, boom. Sometimes people got to die. We're all going to die. When I say take the hit, they got to be willing to go through the tough times and be uncomfortable. The no running water. They got to fix that problem. You got to be there on the continent. The dirt roads. You got to build the infrastructure. Build a hospital, build the schools. You got to be there. Instead of having the comforts of the West that you really didn't earn, you should be over there with your people. That's what I mean by take the hit. Doing whatever you're doing in the West, you should be doing over there. There's a market for it over there.
No, 100% true. I agree. I said I agree 100%.
Right. They're not willing to take the hit. It was a guy literally just came in here about 30 minutes ago, said, my generation, I'm 30 years old. I'm in my 30s, and we're waiting for the infrastructure to be built.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm in my 30s. I'm not about to go nowhere. I'm starting to get old, man. I'm starting to feel old. Like I'm starting to become a grown man.
Can I intervene real quick? What you're saying? You see, he said we're waiting for someone else to build the infrastructure. This is when. Right, the Chinese. Now, I want to juxtapose that to what I said earlier about when I read that book, A State of Blood, when Idi Amin wanted to bring Black Americans over there. They're so caught up in this ideology of tribalism that they would say no to that, but in today's era still say yes to a whole nother group. Now that group, the Chinese, when they come into your space and place to build your infrastructure, they're not doing that for free. You're cutting deals. You're starting to give away airports. You're giving away shipping ports, all other stuff. You're basically selling your country away when they build your infrastructure.
Exactly. Can I get in here, Diane? Yeah, my point is like the brothers talk about intelligence. That's absolutely right. But here's the thing: intelligent people will know you're going to go through trials and tribulations. The Japanese went through trials and tribulations, and you know what they happened? When the Japanese Meiji period happened, there was a backlash in the country where the people just went wild. They don't tell you about the history. They were burning factories, digging up power lines, busting up rail lines, stuff like that, because they said, wait a minute here. You're trying to change our whole way of life for this idea of industrialization and modernization. You're trying to make us like a Western country. But the people in power said they knew that if we don't do this, we're going to be taken over like the Philippines and China. So they prevailed. Then by the time the 1920s rolled around, people said, okay, I see what you got to do. We got ports, we got shipping lanes, we got big factories, we got railway cars, we got street cars, all stuff like that. We got subway systems, we got all this stuff like that that we're not going to turn back on because we went through a painstaking sacrifice, you know. People worked hard for a common goal. Why? Because they wanted to build Japan. Until that spirit of nationalism is in Africa, and like that's never going to happen. You have to have sacrifice. You got to sacrifice one generation. In Japan, they sacrificed 2 generations. They went without to make sure they did. Now, Japanese could have saw all this development in the West. And I'm going to end with this and say, you know something? Japan's a little rocky feudal island. Let's all get on boats and go to California. They didn't do that. They said we're going to take all the stuff from around the world and we're going to master it. They brought in experts to help them teach them how to build railways, how to build all factories, how to build banking systems, how to build a corporate system, real estate system, all that stuff. So they didn't have to leave their island. You know, too many people in Africa think they got to go to the West just to have a first world way of life. Japan brought the first world to their country. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, go ahead, Jagu. I'm gonna pass to Jagu, and I'll pass to you, woman. Go ahead, Jagu.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Good evening from here. Nice discussion going on. I agree with a lot of points that have been made, both negatively and positively. I would really want to just bring ourselves to the point of just looking at the world we're right now living in and the level of chaos there is. And within the chaos, there's organization. You can see the West and the East, how they're behaving in some strange ways, but you know, we read between the lines. This kind of chaotic situation that we have in the world is actually an opportunity for Africa and Africans around the world. But I'm not sure if we're looking at it correctly. I think sometimes we are kind of armchair protagonists, whereby what we like to see, we want to see it from the point of view of our own armchair, the comfort of our own armchair. And the fact of the matter is, as certain people have said, we've got to get off our seat and get things done. Those, you know, the guys who are under 60, you know, between 60 and 45, those guys, they're you know, on their last kind of legs at work or in their business, whatever it might be. And they've got a lot, I would suggest, to say and to hand down before they kind of get off the whole track. And then the young ones watching, I think the young ones, they have a lot of expectation from generations before us. And I think really and truly, as much as I would want to lambast them, I think they're owed it. I think for as much as Black people have striven throughout the world, throughout the time, there is. I think before my generation came to bear, we should have been handed down something that we really work on. We should have been trusted more also by our parents. A lot of our parents, they had a kind of fear. And I know I did maybe different in America, but in the rest of the world, Caribbean, Africa, Europe, then the black push at that time, there was fear and a level of I'm going to behave myself in this situation. Whereas those of us that were born in Europe, England, and the rest of it, well, England particularly, we didn't have that fear. We knew that our counterpart as a white person, we were beating them at school in terms of intellectually. We were beating them in sports. We were beating them at everything. And the fact of the matter is, somebody was talking about an IQ test. I take a lot of these IQ tests. I score very highly. However, I don't think what you are saying. I mean, somebody accused you of coonery. You may not be that far gone, but there is a suspicion that you believe what you're told. Now, I don't know how you can believe these things if you are a black person who understands that education and the things that were brought to bear in this planet were largely brought to bear by us Africans. And ongoing, the level of oppression and suppression that we have faced suggests why we have missed our road many,
That's
many.
funny. That's real funny.
However, having said that, part of getting on with what we've got to get on with is belief. We gotta believe that we can do this thing. We gotta know that we can do it. We gotta have an understanding that, with confidence, that we can get the job done. I believe that we're only not qualified because we disqualify ourselves. And I'll end my submission there.
All right, go ahead, woman, and then I'll pass it to G. Go ahead, woman.
Okay, I'd like to agree with what the last sentence he just said, which is the reason that we're not qualified is because we're disqualifying ourselves, or I should say they are disqualifying themselves. To the Africans that are on the panel saying that Africa can't do this and they can't even do that and yada, 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 as if there isn't a history of outside forces disrupting attempts at improvement in Africa. They just did it with Gaddafi. They're trying to do it with Traore and the gentleman from Mali and Niger right now. Africans, of course, have the capabilities to get that done. You guys keep throwing around China and what China did. Okay, China tested its first nuclear weapon in 1964. China did not become a quote unquote superpower. It wasn't being recognized as an economic power until the early 2000s. So it doesn't mean Africa clearly is capable. The resources are there. The physical, the power is there. Africa needs to build up its defenses so that when outside forces try to interfere and intervene in what they're doing, they're able to prevent that. That's number one. You don't just do one thing at a time. No one is saying Africa needs to stop everything else it's doing and solely focus on developing nuclear power. No, the same way China do it. You focus on building up your military, you build up your navy, you make sure you have a good stockpile of missiles, hypersonic missiles, all the good stuff that everybody else has, so you can defend your physical land. At the same time, you're developing your infrastructure. At the same time, you're making sure that you're having enough doctors. You're making sure you have lawyers. You're making sure you have your currency is backed properly. You're not gonna, when you're developing a nation, you're not doing one single thing at a time. You're trying to get everything together. You're trying to industrialize and upgrade everything that needs to be industrialized and upgraded. And getting nuclear weapons is 100% a part of that. In fact, it's the most important part of that. Because that's how you keep, as the other person said, that's how you keep the vultures at bay. There's nothing else that these people understand except brute force. And you have to be able to provide them with brute force for them to back the hell off. This is just the reality of it. You guys are talking about the Chinese and Chinese. The Chinese didn't just sit back and don't have a navy, don't have a powerful army, don't have a powerful air force. No, they were building up all of that. As you guys throw around the numbers, say, oh, it took them 40 years. Okay, in 1964, they tested their first nuclear weapon. That's way before the 40 years that it took them to become a superpower. So that means that if we're applying the same thing to Africa, if we're using them as the yardstick, there's no problem with African countries right now all they have to do is, hey, Russia right now is open for business. Okay? You buy a nuclear weapon from Russia. First of all, you go to Russia, you take your scientists, your engineers, you get them there and let them get the knowledge there. And then you buy one of these weapons and you reverse engineer it, and then you start building your own. Okay, you go to the Russian, you see how, first of all, yes, obviously someone in their house can't just start enriching uranium to make a nuclear weapon. But for an entire nation, it's not a difficult thing to do as long as you have the resources. And the resources are simply money. You need to buy the knowledge and the technology from somewhere. And then you reverse engineer that and you start building your own.
Sister, let me ask you a question. Don't you think we should first learn how to start mass producing food and basic housing?
Listen, when you're building a nation, you're not doing one single thing at a time. You can start
Which is priority?
food. You can do all things at the same time. And for me, As for me, I believe that having a strong navy to defend a strong army and a lot of firepower to defend your borders is the sole way you protect your country and build your country up.
Yeah, but if you
Because
can't produce food for the people, you're gonna be paying for anything.
Hey guys, let me pass the mic to G. Go ahead, G.
finish off my last thought, please.
All right, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter how much food you grow and provide for your country. If a bigger, badder country starts dropping bombs on every goddamn thing, what good is that
Well,
food
at
gonna
least you
do
can
you?
survive.
How are you gonna survive when your food is destroyed by
Well, I'll
bombs?
tell you something. Right now, basically, all they have to do is stop all because Africa doesn't feed itself. All they do is stop basically shipping food supplies to Africa, and it'll starve.
Okay, so he said I
That's
could
one.
talk. Excuse me.
Oh yeah,
Let me.
yeah,
Can I say
go ahead,
something?
G. Go ahead, G.
Can I go after him?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, G.
All this. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? I apologize. Yes. Yeah. All this IQ stuff. IQ. That's a European shit, right? Always. Excuse my language. Even those who supposedly had a very high IQ, like what's his name? Relatively, man. What's his name? What's his name? Einstein. Einstein, when he was in elementary school, growing up with his fellow classmates, he wasn't known as an intellect. He wasn't known. Matter of fact, he wasn't as smart as people later on to say he's smart. You know what I'm saying? I think is the value is based upon how much are you dedicated to whatever you are doing. You know what I'm saying? It's not about how smart you are. Anything. IQ wise. You guys put too much. The gentleman put too much emphasis on this IQ stuff that we can't weigh that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Considered geniuses, but they really ain't doing nothing in this world. You know what I'm saying? They either working for somebody, you know what I'm saying, or we don't really even know 'em. We know.
Steve Jobs. You think Steve Jobs was he high IQ or low IQ?
I didn't really do a study with Steve Jobs. He asked me a question,
Well,
but
are you on an iPhone? Are you
I
on an
know.
iPhone right now? Are you?
But what I'm saying is
Have you ever
well,
used
you let
anything
me
from a
talk. Hold
physical
on, you asked
person?
me a question. But you asked me a question, right? You asked me a question. The founder of Facebook, the founder of Steve Jobs, the founder of Facebook against his peers, he wasn't known as a high
Yeah,
IQ
but
person in school.
Facebook ain't,
But
ain't the iPhone.
no, what I'm saying is, I don't know the history of Steve Jobs, but I know the Zuckerberg wasn't known as a
Yeah, but
brilliant person in
hold on. What
school.
you're saying is academics.
You probably
Zuckerberg is
know
still
about
very
Steve
smart.
Jobs. The guy who wrote the book 1984, he wasn't known as a high IQ person when he wrote it in 1948. Before that, when he was in high school and college. So what I'm saying is, it's not really based on what you are saying. You bringing Steve Jobs. I don't know about the history. You probably know, but I know Einstein is known as an intellect, right? He had a high IQ, but he wasn't known like that in elementary, high school, and nothing like that. He wasn't top of his class. So what are you saying? He wasn't top of his class. I know of that. So speak on Einstein, somebody I do know about. Explain that. How come he wasn't known as an
Yeah,
intellect
but
when he
Einstein
was
was a
in
genius,
elementary?
though. He was a genius. And what it takes to
Yeah, but
build
compared to other
nuclear
smart,
bombs.
no. What I'm
We can't.
saying is
Yo, we got.
compared to
Yo, we got a lot. Yo, so
no.
let me hold on,
What
G.
I'm
Let me
saying,
ask this. Let me say this.
hold on, time out. Compared to other smart people in this school, he wasn't known as it.
Yo,
That's what I'm
hold
saying.
on. Can we agree that there's a lot of smart brothers in the Hebrew Israelites and on the street called 125th Street and home, right? But can any of those guys build a nuclear bomb?
What are you talking about? I'm talking about when he was in school. He also flunked in math. He wasn't all that, but he flunked in certain math class. He wasn't
Yeah,
known
but
as
he
an
gave
intellect.
us relativity
He
and stuff
worked.
like that,
I understand
physics
it,
and
but he
everything.
worked. No,
But
I understand it, but he
I'm saying
worked hard.
that we have a
He
lot of
worked
smart
hard,
people in Black
nigga.
America,
He
right?
worked
But they
hard.
can't
He
build a
worked hard.
lemonade stand. They can't
I
create a
understand
lemonade
it, but
stand.
I understand what you're saying. But I'm saying is he worked hard at his craft. All I'm saying is like Kobe Bryant, when I was going to school, me and Kobe Bryant the same age. Kobe Bryant to me, during that period of time, he wasn't the best McDonald All-Star player at that time. Hell no, he wasn't even close. But he worked hard at his craft. That's all I'm saying. If you work hard at it, you're gonna be somebody special. F
Okay.
that IQ shit. It's not about IQ. Get out of here.
Okay,
Yeah,
can I
we
go
were talking
now?
about intelligence.
Can I go now?
Intelligence. Yeah, go ahead. Next person.
Yeah. So I was the one that brought up the IQ thing, and it's one of the predictors, right, of your career, your future career. You can use
I tested
IQ
high, by the way, folks.
in
It was
conjunction
real
with
high.
other metrics to predict a student's career. But one of the assistants said that we could reverse engineer some of the technology. So my question to you is: we have computers, we have cars, we have aircraft, we have a whole bunch of technology, and so far Africans are not reverse technology, doing any technology on any of them. So what's the excuse there? It doesn't make any sense. And it's like the more advanced the technology gets, the wider the gap between.
Are you saying that you have come across no African geniuses?
No, I never said
Child,
that. No,
well, wait,
I'm looking
Let
at
me
the
finish.
aggregate.
Wait, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but you're taking it hard on yourself, it seems.
I'm not taking
Because
part of myself. What are you talking about?
wait, but my friend, wait. It's not always to argue, it's to just pass understanding. I'm saying to your question that it's unfounded to look at one race and point the finger at them almost as though you have no sense of history. Now,
Thank you.
I don't want to go down a road and saying, oh, we suffer this, we suffer that. I don't want to do that. But we have to appreciate what's happened to us. And in that appreciation, we have to really look on the great things that have happened for us over the 400 years of oppression that we've had. And if we don't do this equation and we just want to suggest, oh, we're so poor, we're not like the rest of the world. White man is doing this, and the Chinese man is doing this, and oh, poor me, I'm doing this.
Sure,
It's a point where like I'm thinking, bruh, are you thinking that singularly you are unaware or we are unaware and vice versa? I'm not sure
sir,
because
sir, sir. I okay. I don't think you understand my position. Maybe because I haven't drawn it out completely. But I'll say this, right? That it's 2025, right?
we're aware. You're
Okay.
under. This is what I'm saying. You're
Hold on.
underlining the obvious things.
Just listen to what I'm saying. It's 2025. At what point in the history of humanity are we going to stop using the excuse? Because your excuse that you're giving me now, if Africans do not succeed in the next 500 years, you will use the same excuse. So
Well, you
really,
see, as I said, you need to be listening. As I said, me personally, don't want to go down that road. However, in my assessment, when I'm looking at this life and I'm trying to draw judgments on any issue, the same issue as you, ethical or ethnic, whatever it might be, when I look at it, I have to have all of my tools in order to make this judgment. Now, if I'm making this judgment without using the necessary tangible tools that we need to make such an assessment, then we're making an assessment based on judgmental supposition that we haven't founded. Now,
so
I'm saying to you, wait, bruh, wait. I need you to understand me very, very well, because it's not like I don't understand where you're coming from.
I
I
don't think
do.
you do. I don't think you do.
I do. Wait. I do. It's not that difficult. We're all black people in here. You know what I mean? The thing, and we all thought that kind of thought where we say to ourselves, I wonder why black people aren't X, Y, and Z. We've all thought like that. But in thinking like that, you still have to answer the question as accurately as possible. And you cannot do that if you're making such judgments. And you are making a judgment, is what I'm putting to you. Because
Okay.
I tell you why. Because if you wait,
You're
because if
telling me
you
why I'm making a
wait
judgment.
just 1 second, but 1 second, I'll just put this to you. If you take in the history, as I believe that someone as clearly understood and as intelligent as yourself would know, that in history, when we look back, we see an array of inventions that came during the times of slavery. An array. And unless we were told these things, we would have been in the paradigm of thinking we don't we don't invent anything, as opposed to thinking, wow, look at this woman who invented the ironing board, who invented the heater, who invented the traffic lights, who invented some tools for heart transplant. There are so many things that Black people have done that, for the IQ that you're speaking about, IQ is intelligence based on what you might do in order to problem solve. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Wait, bro. I need you to understand that you can't just come from that aspect to a black crowd of intelligent people and spurt that nonsense out and expect to get away with it.
All right, you make
let me
Can't do that.
read. I gotta read these super chats. Information man show. Thank you for the $4 holla. Peace and respect, brother. Spellcaster, thank you for the $5 Canadian dollars. Good show. FBI Young Line, thank you for $1.99 holla. 200 viewers. Guys, get the likes up. Please hit that like button. If you have not hit the like button, please hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I always hear this argument that, how can you think that blacks haven't invented anything, right? So I usually respond like this. I say, well, have Native Americans invented anything? No, they're not known to have invented anything. But
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Have Native Americans? Wait, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt.
No, I'm not trying to be rude, bro. But I think your submission is rude.
Let me
finish. The native Indians didn't invent.
I'm trying to hear the brother. Go ahead, Ben.
We're here to hear it about.
There are
What's a wigwam? Wigwam.
There are no inventions that I know of, right? I could be wrong.
Go ahead, talk.
And you can prove me wrong. You can bring it up. But from my understanding, there are no inventions attached.
Hello?
I'm talking about inventions here in the U.S. attached to Native Americans, right? So is that a big deal? No, it's not a big deal, because not everybody, not every group invented something. You have groups that didn't invent things.
Every group invented
I'm talking about
something.
modern.
Wait, my brother. Wait, please. You've made a statement that is just so
I'm
you.
referring to modern day inventions.
Civilization is about invention.
No, you can't do it like that. That's not how inventions work. Inventions don't. Wait. Stop shouting.
15 seconds and I'll wrap it up. 15 seconds and I'll wrap it up. I did my research, and 95% of the inventions that are attributed to Black Americans are not inventions per se. What they are modifications of existing inventions. And I'm finished with that.
Okay, good. I'm happy that you finished. But what you did, if I may just finish up like this, what you've done there, away from having a conversation with me, which you did, and I take nothing away from you. You after finishing with one race and not being able to confirm your suspicions as to IQ, you then went on to another race, which is a failing argument. And I don't believe we can look at things and judge things in this Eurocentric way only. When we get like that, that's when we lose what is innate in us. And if you don't believe that there is something innate about the African, about the Black people of this planet, and that there's not something that we are given in this planet. You know the difference between Europe and America? The African. I tell you that for nothing. You understand? America would be a boring country like Australia if it was just Europeans there. We wouldn't even think about it. But because Black people are there, it's shining. It's shining. But you don't see that. What you see is, and you want to cry. You don't come here to cry, my brother. I won't allow it.
Let me say this, right? To say that we didn't invent nothing and he did his research and it's all just add-ons to their invention, it's really cooning. But at this point, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter, because if somebody else got the cheat code, I'm going to go with the cheat code. That's part of being smart. I'm going to if you already did the work, and I'm going to follow what you're doing if that's what I want to do. If it's something I need, I'm not going to try and reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go and get the wheel if I need a wheel. So you know what I mean? I'm just going to I'm going to grab what you already doing. What do Africa need? What do Africa want? Africa needs and wants everything that's already in the West. Why not just mimic it? It's already done. It just need people to just do the work The information is already out there. You know you need asphalt. You know you need concrete. You know you need a sewer system. You know the information is already out there. Why not just mimic what you already see the people doing? Like when, and then we might need to get to the point to where it's time to accept that maybe they can't never do it. I know that's a hard pill to swallow. Maybe they can't never do it. Maybe it'll never happen for them. Maybe the world has took the lead too much. Sometimes, yeah, like if you run in a race and the guy is up all the way up the street, he might be too far gone and you just can't catch up. And that's just something that you just have to just deal with. That's a possibility that I noticed that a lot of, that's not a defeatist mindset. I'm not saying it's a defeat, but you got to be, that's just reality. Sometimes it's too far gone. Because if we talking about in America, Trump talking about building a golden dome. He keep talking about it that covers America and Canada. And you to the point to where in 2025, not trying to dump on you, but you don't got you still got mud huts and you can't figure out an electrical grid or a sewer system. Come on, man. Like, come on. The world is leaving them behind, has left them behind. And if they're not willing to take the hit like China did and sacrifice and be there and use their brain there and not somewhere else in the world, they might never catch up.
Linus, can I chime in?
Let me pass it to Pam Mulatto first. Go ahead, Pam Mulatto. Pam Mulatto, unmute yourself. All right. Let me pass it to Yelmeda. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's the word? Just listening to this, bro, it's really extremely disgraceful and disappointing that we have men that are purported to be quote unquote black speaking like this. It just shows how a great job that they have done just destroying and taking away the testosterone from us as men. Regardless if you identify as African or not, these sentiments are just extremely just irresponsible, and it just shows that I'm willing to bet money that the people that are saying this stuff haven't accomplished anything of substance in their life. They just on here complaining. There's people that's really have boots on the ground that's really affected change, and they're not coming on platforms and panels. They actually doing the work. So if you're really not doing the work, you really have no right to have no type of opinion. And if you haven't really accomplished anything of substance, you really have no right to opinion. My message is, bro, anybody that's out here willing to do the work, trying to exchange information and network with them, I'm done coming on here.
Okay, I teach math.
Brother, hit dogs holler. How you know I was even addressing you? How you know I was directly addressing you, brother?
Because you described the people that you say they come in here.
Based upon your response, you fit the criteria because I didn't single out nobody. So based upon your response, you fit the criteria of what I was just saying. In your opinion,
you showing a low testosterone by throwing it out there vaguely. Say it like a man.
Nah, it ain't no. If I was directing it towards the person that said first, hey, bro, hold on, brother. So let me tell you something. Men comport themselves like men. They don't interrupt other men when other men are speaking. He gave me the floor to speak. I didn't interrupt anything you said when you spoke. I'm gonna let you speak. I'm not finna argue with you like a female.
You got baby nuts. You said on this panel and all that. Who's on this panel? Who are you talking to,
brother? If you want me to be clear, I'm definitely addressing you. I'm definitely addressing you. But again, but again, the other brother that interrupted me while I was speaking, I didn't say nothing towards him directly. And he obviously felt that I was speaking towards him because in his mind, what I was articulating, he fits that. So hit dogs holler again. But let me get back to what I was saying, bro, because I don't do all. Bro, I'm not finna interrupt you, bro. Stop doing all the goofy stuff, bro.
With femininity,
no, bro, that's how you coming because you interrupting a man while a man is talking, brother. Did your mother not teach you when a man is talking, you be silent, brother? I'm not. All right, bro, you got the flow.
Say that,
no, man.
They
Let
say
him
that.
finish what he's got to say, brother.
Oh, you act like the female that raised you, brother. Come on, man, be a man.
Come
Stop
on,
interrupting
man.
another man while a man is speaking,
Oh,
brother. Come
Dynasty.
on, brother.
Man, that all that shaming tactics.
All right, brother,
It ain't no shame, and you comporting yourself like a female. That's the problem, bro.
Hey, you're in there. Let's go. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Nah, he good. He got it. He don't ruin my entire train of thought.
Man, he
Acting like a female, stepping on your point, man. You get it,
and say, don't come up here throwing no vague, throwing that out there
bro.
vague.
It ain't no vague. You clearly fit the description, brother. It is what it is,
Well, then say it to me.
brother. I already did.
All right. Well, what did I say?
It is what it is. You fit the, bro. You definitely do, bro. I mean, that don't even got to be spoken on. You over here talking about some it can't be overcame and all that. You so weak. You identifying with the country that enslaved you, brother. You weak. You not know, man. He done the white man done effeminized you. You just a walking zombie trying to cling to something that he created, an identity that he created. You don't even have your own identity, brother. Come on now. What's to you? You a proud American. He beat you into an American. He beat you to identify with America. You so ashamed of who you are, bro. You identify as an American, brother. You weak. You not know, man. Yeah, why you think I will? Why you think your women don't respect you? Why they running all over y'all? Come on, man. They don't respect y'all. Ain't on man time, brother. You talking about you a foundational black American, bro? You's a goofy.
Shouldn't the men fight in their country? Shouldn't you be somewhere else? Fighting.
Bro, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
It's always
I'm doing that. I don't gotta talk, brother. I'm not no truck driver, brother. I'm not. I don't identify with no America, brother. That's not me. I'm not you, brother.
What are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here?
I'm not you, brother. I'm trying to network with people that's actually trying to move, brother. I'm not trying to argue with people that identify with America, brother. Your nuts is gone, brother.
With your movement,
You don't got you all over the place. I'm not gonna argue with you though. You get it, brother.
Talkers and no doers. There's a whole lot of talkers and no doers. The guy coming up here talking about it with vague, saying shit vaguely and all that. He know everything about me, and nobody mentioned me being a truck driver. Nobody mentioned foundational black Americans. He like a broad that's sitting the cut and be like, oh, I like him. Watch you. I like him. What else he do? That's what you do.
Can chime in?
Bitch. And that's your problem.
No, brother. Brother.
No Africa. You're not going to do none of that. You're going to come on here on these panels and talk like you said everybody else doing.
No, brother, that's you. That's the difference.
I gotta pass.
I'm not covered like that. That's you.
Go ahead, woman.
Like you said,
one mic. Go ahead, woman.
I would like to fact check because, a lot of people get on this panel and just start saying a lot of wild stuff. And they think that the people who are listening are not intelligent enough to either know the information they're talking about or do a quick Google search. So I'd like to fact check because when I mentioned that African nations need to be trying to reverse engineer some of these nuclear weapons, because you clearly can't just buy them all. You have to start building some. Someone said, oh, so why aren't they engineering planes? Why aren't they engineering airplanes? They are. Been there, done that. Several African nations do assemble and manufacture airplanes and cars. And on top of that, South Africa also manufactures its own missiles. Yes, so they're doing that. There are certain leaders in Africa who are trying to move Africa forward, but it's people like you who will always be trying to pull us back and always wanting us bowing at the defeat of white men and white women. So before you run on here and start making your wild allegations, why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? They're doing it. They are doing it. There are plenty of leaders in Africa right now trying to move Africa forward.
Let me say this, right? That's another problem y'all got. Look at your ideology. Do a quick Google search. That's all you're doing is quick Google searches. You don't study nothing. You don't read. You just want to quick Google search and then come over here with a quick talking point. Yeah, I study this stuff. Y'all can never beat me in a debate because I study this.
Bro, you are a complete idiot, bro. It's you not even worth engaging, to be completely honest. And I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. You are an idiot, brother. I'm just being honest, brother.
You're not on my level.
brother, what is your purpose of? Okay, so if there's no possibility, if there's no possibility for Africans to overtake the gap that there is, bro, then why are you engaging on these type of conversations? What is your purpose?
You didn't hear that
But what is your purpose, brother? Shouldn't you be out there? Shouldn't you be out creating an FBA coalition, getting these shorties off the streets? You feel me? Creating black families. Like, come on, like what is your purpose of engaging people that have a different agenda than you?
Nephew, you heard that.
Ain't no nephew, man. Ain't no nephew. Ain't no nephew. Ain't no you not unk state, bro. You not no unk, bro. You immature as hell, and you act like a female or a juvenile child, brother.
Don't
Like
you
it's not no nephew.
you're down on his level. Now,
Right? Like you a kid.
the reason I said a quick Google search because I said people come on here and people throw things out, and the information is there for anyone to know it. And a quick Google search will tell you that information. That's why I brought that up. Now, the reason I did the Google search was to reinforce what I already thought, and I'm able to now name specific countries. That's the whole purpose of Google, for us to find information. So what are you talking about? Of course, I'm going to Google search which countries are manufacturing airports. You don't know it because you clearly agree with people who said they weren't doing it. So Google is to provide information that's clear.
Tell me the equivalent of a Boeing airplane. I just delivered to Boeing the other day. Boeing. Tell me the equivalent of the South African Boeing. You don't know. You're doing a quick Google search. You know they're manufacturing airplanes.
You clearly do not know how to listen and find comprehension because you wouldn't be making the statement you're making because that's not you. If you heard what you said, you would. All you want to do is argue, and I'm not into it. So go ahead and talk to the other guys.
What country is manufacturing the airplane?
She said South Africa.
Can I speak, please, Bobo? He spoke to me. He asked a question to me. Nigeria manufactures and assembles, and South Africa and Tanzania.
Okay, I don't think Nigeria actually, hold on, let me just say this. I don't think actually, because this was all in the news when I was in Niger, they don't actually manufacture. Are you talking about Airpiece? Because he buys Boeings. He buys old Boeings to fly.
I'm not talking about Airpiece. They manufacture and they assemble airplanes, and so does South Africa and Tanzania. They manufacture and assemble the parts.
Nobody's taking a charter flight. Nobody wants to get on a charter flight. I fly around the country. I'm not getting on no airplane made in Nigeria. Sorry. If that's racist, then I'm racist.
Brother, you identify as an American. You are disqualified from the conversation. Like your opinion is pointless. You are an idiot. You are a complete and utter idiot, brother. You bring nothing to the table. You not even doing nothing for your own community, brother. Like y'all just be on here just talking, bro. Y'all are really goofies, man.
All over America.
Bro, you are not affecting no change in your community that's of no effect, brother. Our community in America is in complete and utter shambles, brother. And you come on here every day trying to argue with Pan-Africanists or continental Africans about they tactics and they strategies to overcoming their issues, yet you not doing nothing for yours, brother. It's all talk, man. Like you act like a female. It's just feminine, bro. What man is finna complain about the status of his community when he is grown and has the vitality to change it himself and organize with other men to change it himself, man. It's clown behavior, man. It's despicable. You were part of the problem, man.
When Bobo Rats is out of society, I represent black men well. I represent my ethnicity well. I represent my country well. When I travel to other countries and work, I represent my country well. I'm a respected man in my community. I'm a property owner. I'm a business owner. I'm a truck driver. I have a high-paying, high-skilled job. What are you talking about? I'm a productive part.
$90,000 a year is not high paying.
What?
Like that's like, bro. The standard, and you a clear representation that the standard in our community is so low, and our men as men we are so weak, man. Like it.
Come on, man.
What you doing is the bare minimum, and you talking about you an upstanding citizen. What you want to get praised because you driving trucks?
Everybody
It's regular. Like you doing the bare minimum of what any man should do.
I gotta pass the mic to Elvis. Go ahead, Elvis.
All right, Diners. Thank you. Hail to the panel and the chat. Look, to answer your question, Diners, I think we all know the answer to the question, right? The reality is, building a nuclear weapon is it's labor intensive, it's knowledge intensive, it's resources intensive, And most of the countries that have nuclear weapons have a, either they have like oil in abundance or they have a large population. The only country that could possibly do it is probably Nigeria. But in order to do that, you need a stable electricity grid because when you have these reactors and these things, you need constantly, electricity. You can have a outage of electricity to do that. And then you need hundreds of billions of dollars and you need scientists and you need continuations over like a good 30, 40 years. It's extremely expensive. So I think the reality is that we as Africans, we haven't figured out how to govern ourselves in the first place, let alone tackle the energy, question in our countries before we can even go towards, selling our resources for maximum profits, using that money to, to get uranium, whether it's in our grounds, like getting it from Niger, or plutonium and enriching them to get a nuclear weapon. It's almost impossible for us Africans. I mean, not because we're not smart enough to do it, but because we haven't laid the groundwork and we haven't had the resources set aside that we can one day achieve this. So I think that's the biggest thing. Our biggest problem is not even economics; it's really military. Because when a war breaks out, we would be at the mercy of those who have the military might. And just like what we did in World War II in countries like Liberia, will have to be somebody else's stooge, maybe somebody else's, fueling ground where they can come and fuel and use our country as a base, as a launching pad. That's the only good we would probably be, doing in the war militarily if it comes down to it. So this is the consequences of not innovating, of not maximizing your resources for for your betterment. You can want to be developed, but without economic power, which is the first step, and then butchers that with military power, you're always going to be a lapdog to somebody else. That's why countries like Saudi Arabia, even though they have all the money, but they always depend on the United States, and they spend so much money on military weapons from the United States just to feel protected. And even then, they're still very much afraid of Iran. So, I mean, as black folks, we're so far behind, and I think some people said it that it would be maybe 200, 300 years before we even have a semblance of a country like maybe South Africa getting close to it. But now, as it is currently constituted, most of these countries are not even allowed to have nuclear weapons. One, because we're unstable. We have coup d'etat. We have terrorism in our region. God forbid we have these weapons and our country get taken over by one of these Islamic groups and they attack one of these Western countries. It's over. So I think that's one of the reasons we don't have it, Danny. So I'll pass it back to you.
All right, let me pass it to Pam Mulatto. Go ahead, Pam Mulatto. Mute yourself.
And thanks for passing me the mic again, Dinus, and having me back up. I apologize, I got a phone call, but I'll get right to it. Uh, this is for the brother Ye Limday, and I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. Now, you criticize the brother, what's my man name? Vovo Rants for identifying as an American. My question to you is, are you suggesting that Vovo Ranch should identify with the African nation that sold his ancestors to American enslavers? And that's with all due respect, I'm asking that.
Um, I'm not saying that he has to identify with if he feels I would say negatively about what the cultural dynamics and the historical dynamics that occur between his quote unquote African country and him. He has the right to feel that way, but to then go and identify with somebody that has exponentially did more than the quote unquote African did to him, that would be even more illogical. So.
And Yelim Day, and just to follow your logic, would you say that a Jamaican is weak for identifying as Jamaican or a person
Yes,
from Barbados?
yes, I would say that.
Well, with all due respect, brother, you're being delusional because these people, us as diasporans, yes, we went through trauma in the countries that we were enslaved in, but also we emerged from that trauma. We emerged from that enslavement. We even, if we look at our ancestry, a lot of our ancestors actually killed slave masters. And I'll say unalive for the sake of Donna's platform. So, brother, yes, we were victims in the U.S., but we also were victorious. So you have
No,
to
I'm
complete the story.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, I'm not negating that nor trying to downplay that. My thing is when you identify with the entity that the Europeans created and are in the criminal enterprise that they are continuously furthering. That's when I say it's weak. The same thing with Jamaicans. When the Queen of England died, there was a large contingency of Jamaicans that were going in out sad about it. That's the mindset I'm saying. When
And
it comes to like a nation like Haiti or Haiti, I wouldn't be mad about them identifying with that because they went and overthrew that. That's their land. But as far as I'm talking about the colonial entities,
just so I don't monopolize the discussion, I also want to say this, brother. With all due respect, those Europeans that you speak about as the founding fathers of the U.S. genetically, they are the descendants of U.S. chattel slaves' ancestors, meaning that anything that they established is our birthright. It's our inheritance. Whether our ancestors claimed us or not, this is our blood right, brother, and that's
uh,
genetically unavoidable.
I mean, that's what I mean by being weak. It's not no, it's not like say for instance Thomas Jefferson and the Sally Hemings, all of their progeny. If you black and you come from that progeny and you are proud and identify with Thomas Jefferson, you are a weak coon and I have no respect for you. And if you are a man,
You
you are
limb
a
day,
coward.
but
It's that
listen,
simple.
and with all due respect, you added emotions that I never expressed.
No,
I
I'm
said
not saying.
nothing.
I'm not saying. I'm not. It
Well, let
wasn't.
me complete the sentence, brother, just so
Oh,
we can
my
have a
bad. My
peaceful
bad, brother. My
dialogue.
bad, brother.
I said nothing about pride. It's even if you had an abusive grandfather or an abusive father, does that mean that when he passes away, that you should deny yourself of your own inheritance just because you had a traumatic relationship with your father, with your ancestor? Simple question.
That depends on the individual.
I'm asking you though, brother. With all
But
due respect.
no, but on an individual basis, me personally, no. I mean that I couldn't. That's not really apples to oranges to what I mean apples to apples to
It,
what the
it,
conversation is as far as
it actually
from a
is though,
cultural
brother.
standpoint. Nah,
We're
but
speaking
look,
about an
let me explain.
inheritance.
Let me explain what I'm
Well, go
saying.
ahead.
From a cultural standpoint, that's not apples to apples. Now, from an individual standpoint, me personally, if I had a tumultuous relationship with somebody to the degree that Europeans had with my ancestors, no, I'm not accepting anything that they have. But if we're speaking in
But
a
wouldn't that
vacuum
be a
from a
but brother, wouldn't
familial
that be an
standpoint.
emotional decision on your behalf?
Nah,
Respectfully,
it wouldn't be an emotional
brother.
decision.
Pride
It's
is
about
an
it would be a moral and integral decision based upon.
that's
I'm not gonna
emotions,
say
brother.
it's not emotions. That's the
It
difference.
is because let me ask you a
No,
question. Why would you? Let's have a dialogue. Why would you deny yourself of your own inheritance that you could pass on to your own children?
no, because I'm a competent enough individual to augment anything that they have created or
No, I
that
didn't
they
ask
have
you that,
yielded
brother.
from their
Whatever
intelligence
you
or
build,
from their
you add
know-how.
that to your
I don't need someone's inheritance to advance
but
myself as
brother,
an
that's
individual and
emotions
advance my
talking.
progeny.
But
It's
let's
not
have a dialogue.
emotions.
It
It's
is,
not
brother.
emotions.
Because well, let me tell you why you're being emotional, and let's be logical. Because you have to acknowledge that whatever you build on your own, you add that to the inheritance that you pass to your children. How you don't understand that, King?
Nah, brother. Listen, I understand that and all and everything, bro. But in this context, it's ill-gotten gains. In this context, it's through SA. In this context, it's through enslavement. From this context, it's from lynching. In this context, it's from cultural
Yeah,
imposition. From this
I agree.
context, it's cultural hegemony. It's not.
Uh huh.
There's no amount of inheritance. There's no amount of dollar amount. There's no amount of
Uh
resources.
huh.
There's no amount of artillery that's gonna equate what we lost from that, bro. It's not. I don't. It's not
But
an
you just
emotional
added the
decision.
emotional
It's a
part,
moral
brother.
and integral decision. It's
But
not
hold on. But let
emotional.
me say this,
It's
brother.
not
Brother,
emotional.
where you're ranting, brother. Let's have a dialogue. You see how I reduced my responses to one sentence because I want you to respond to what I actually say. Now you were right when you spoke about, and you did, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but when you speak about the genocide that Caucasians committed, not just against Africans but also Native Americans in the U.S., the stolen land. You're not wrong for bringing that up. The part you're wrong about, the part that you're emotional about, is that yes, this all of these resources were stolen from different ethnic groups, but they were stolen by your own ancestors, meaning that you have an inheritance that you can claim from your ancestors and pass on to your descendants. Why wouldn't you do that to give your own descendants an advantage, brother? Just like every other ethnic group on earth does.
Brother. In my opinion, you entitled to do that. But
Yeah,
from a me standpoint, and everybody that thinks like me, that's a non-starter. It's weak and it's not happening. You could
but
call it
but
emotional.
that's your
You,
emotions. Yes,
bro,
that's your
brother,
emotions.
and you, bro, you, brother. I respect your opinion, and you're entitled to that opinion. But in my opinion, it's not emotional. In my opinion, it comes from morality, and it comes from integrity, and it comes from logic. And as a man, I am not finna on one hand sit and criticize and have disdain for you for what you have, the atrocity that you committed to my people and that other people across the world, and then try to benefit from that and quote unquote try to claim some inheritance from somebody that sexually assaulted one of my ancestors. They had no say in the
And
matter.
you
And I
Limde,
understand where you coming from in this fan, brother, but I'm not
and
like that. I'm not
you
wild like
Limde.
that.
Let me ask you a question. What's your ethnic background?
What do you mean in terms of what?
Ethnically, what is your ethnicity? With all due respect,
I don't identify with a ethnicity.
brother. Genetically, a lineage. Every
Genetically, I'm
European
African.
has one. Well, with all due
Genetically,
respect,
I'm African.
yeah,
And
but
that's
there are
just
different ethnic.
that's a general misnomer too.
Hold on, one mic at a time. There are different ethnic groups in Africa. A Yoruba is
No,
not
but
the same
I'm
as
saying I know that
okay,
I
exactly.
specific,
So,
bro.
what's your ethnic? And
No,
why does this have to be rocket
but
science, brother?
specific. No,
Yeah, go ahead.
because bro, it's nuanced. I can't. I'm not one of. I can't just say that I'm a continental African and just identify with one group. That would be me
I'll
being
simplify the question.
disingenuous.
Hold on, I'll simplify the
That's
question.
impossible to do.
I'll simplify the question. Are you a descendant of U.S. chattel slaves? Yes or no?
Yes, affirmative.
Brother, then why are you cosplaying as African? The Africans that
Nah,
you speaking
it's
about?
not no
Brother,
it's no
let me
cosplay,
continue to
bro.
say this. I'll pass the mic right back
I
to you.
don't do the internet
But
jargon,
brother,
brother. It's not no
I pass the mic
cosplay.
right back to you. I pass the mic right back to you, brother. You speak about the atrocities that the Europeans committed, and I agree with you. But brother, it was our African ancestors that sold us to the Europeans, brother. So if you were unwilling to
Brother,
accept it, let me
oh
complete the sentence, brother.
my bad. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
If you're unwilling to accept your inheritance in the U.S., why are you willing to accept your inheritance in Africa, which was literally passed down to you by slave traders?
Brother, I've done the nuance history and research upon the dynamics that occurred during the transatlantic slave trade. It's not as simple as you trying to make it. People try to make it like it's a one-on-one like for like trade. In order for me to encapsulate what you're trying to say, I mean what I'm trying to say, it would be it would take more than the 30 minutes or the 2 hours that this lab takes, brother. So
But
I
you
mean,
let me simplify.
you entitled
Everything I say,
you
I'll simplify it because I really want to have a dialogue with you. You my
nah,
brother.
we having a dialogue.
So let me ask this, brother. Just as you said, it was weak for a descendant of U.S. chattel slaves to acknowledge that they are American. Why don't you also have that same energy for descendants of U.S. chattel slaves that call themselves African? You are identifying with slave traders by your
It's not
logic.
the dynamic.
Nah,
No, it's
man,
not the
that's
logic.
not
The
logic.
logic is
That's the
not the
truth.
same. It's
That's
That's
the
not logic,
truth.
man. That's awful.
But that's the
It's
that's
not
truth.
apples
logical.
and that's apples and
You
oranges
didn't there. You
comparison.
didn't there. You've won this argument, man. You've won this
Yeah, I
argument.
know
Why am I just talking
it's
rubbish?
a
Nah,
apples
he's
and oranges
cooked,
comparison.
and I
But
get.
I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to
I
win though.
know. I
It's a
understand where you're
dialogue.
coming from.
It's a
Look
You
how
see,
dialogue.
triggered the
if I
Africans are,
can,
though. Look how triggered the
guys.
Africans are. Let me have a dialogue with my brother right quick. Let me have a dialogue
Yeah,
with my
you.
brother. I'll pass the mic. I'll mute up after this. Brother, I have to say this, brother. You have to acknowledge that these same exact Africans sold your ancestors to the white man. If you have smoke for the white man, and I'm not even saying you're wrong for that, why you don't have smoke for these same for these same Africans that's literally selling slave tours, making money off of your ancestors' trauma? They
No,
got
but
Elvira Castle right now.
brother, I have the same smoke for the Africans, for the continental Africans that think like the slave traders from the 17th, 16th, and 15th and 14th century. I have smoke for them today. They the reason why Africa is in the point it's in now, because the same descendants of the people that were selling slaves back then is the same people like Tinubu that's running countries like Nigeria, and that's doing the backwards people like Otara that's in West Africa now, bro. So the same dynamics exist. You still have the
Exactly,
same
brother. So
evil.
you're
You
American, brother.
but no,
You
I'm not
are
American.
American.
I'm not American because you know why,
Deny
brother.
me.
Let me
Deny
explain
me.
why. Because you know the same slave traders, Fulani slave traders that was over in West Africa in the 16th and 17th century. Some of them same slave traders ended up being some of my cousins now. And
You
guess
agree
what they
not
doing?
all of them,
Guess
though.
what they
You
doing in
agree that
America
not all of
now?
them got sold, though,
But
right?
guess what they doing in America now? They selling out our people over here, just like the Al Sharptons of the world, the Martin Luther Kings of the world, them type of people. So I mean,
Other
it's
people
gonna
want
be.
to
But not,
speak.
let's not deflect. Let's
You
not
guys are
deflect.
hogging the
It's,
mics.
the dynamics exist. The dynamics exist. The
As a
sellout
black
dynamics
American,
exist wherever we go. That's just
as
is
a
what it
black
is.
American, there's
Yes,
nothing
you're
more
American,
emotional.
brother.
I'm
Yalimde.
not
I
no
know you changed
American,
your name
brother.
to an
I'm not
African
no
name. You're
American.
still American,
Can we
brother.
get
I'm
back
not
on
no
Don't
topic?
deny
American.
it.
Can we
Let,
get
Your
back
let,
on
ancestors
topic?
founded this country. Don't
come
forget
on,
that,
bro. Let me
Yalimde.
say
Your
this.
ancestors founded the
Can we get
U.S.
back?
Nah, no, they didn't. My
Yes, they
ancestors did
did.
not
Yeah,
found no
You
let's
got
America.
stay
white
on topic.
ancestors. Don't
Come on,
deny
come
them.
on.
Yeah, but they didn't found no country,
I'm
brother.
passing the
Listen,
mic. I
listen,
woke you up like Yalimde. Much love to you, King.
Nah, love, brother. I'm not into it with
Can,
you.
let me
It's
say
can
this.
I
love.
can I read this?
There's nothing more emotional as a black American. There's nothing more emotional than a black American talking about he's an African. It's because it's all emotion. You have
Facts.
no
Facts.
connection with Africa. You've never been there. You're not
That's
going
about.
there. It's
That's
just
about.
all
Oh
about
man,
emotion. Emotion.
That's about.
I feel like I'm these people. You
That's
say
about.
we're descendants of slaves here. You don't
Can I
know.
can I
You
read
even
this?
admitted.
Can I read
You
this? It's a
even
short.
admitted
Brother, I
that
definitely do, and it's not emotional. It's
they're not.
factual.
You
It's
even
factual.
admitted.
Can
You
I can
even
I read this?
admitted
No.
a
I
generic
said that I can't identify
You said
any African any
yeah, you
African in the diaspora that tries to identify with one ethnic group on the continent as being disingenuous. We
right. So
amalgamation
you
of
just a
many ethnic
generic
groups.
African. You just a generic
We
African.
we
That's
we
all.
amalgamation of many ethnic groups on the West Africa
No,
on the West African
that's just
on the West African
that's
landmass, brother.
all emotion. Because
It's
if
not
I ask
emotion. It's
you,
factual.
these
Like,
I
bro,
don't
you
think
presidents,
sound
that's true,
stupid. You
Yolanda.
sound stupid. You
Powerful,
sound stupid.
Your
Bro,
DNA
you
Getting
says
out of hand. It's
otherwise.
just chaotic.
Like, you know, some people have like
it's
Yolanda, some people like
culturally
Dynas, he has
everything.
mixed DNA. I don't have mixed DNA. Like when we
Dynas
do our
did?
DNA tests, I'm coming from one tribe. Dynas is coming from like 3 different tribes. So that's not
Man,
the case.
but again, when you talking about these quote unquote tribes, even it's like say the tribe Yoruba, for example, it's not in reality, it's not a real tribe. Really, it's a
You guys are
language
going off.
designation.
You
You
guys are
got the
going off.
Ijebu,
Say something, I
you got the
can't.
Ijebu, you got the Oyo. It's not like
Let the
how they.
sister speak. Hold on. The sister's
I
trying to
can't
speak.
talk
Go ahead,
about this
sis.
one now because you're saying Yoruba's not a real tribe. I have to call all my
No,
friends now and tell them
nah, it's not. It's a language designation.
man.
The
Yalimde, you
Yoruba.
would
I
know
have to
if you
call
was
all my
really
What does
friends
this
now.
African,
have
That
to
don't
do
make
with
but
sense.
you're not really
Bro,
African, so
nuclear
you
weapons?
wouldn't.
no,
That don't make
What
brother,
does that
brother,
have to
brother.
do with nuclear weapons?
Yoruba is a language designation. It's not a. They were never all one people. It was never
He,
all one
he, he,
amalgamation
he's
of one
actually
tribe. It's not.
he's actually right on that point.
I know I'm right. She don't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know what she's
Dynasty?
talking about.
Is
So
Say
it's
that to
Dynasty?
the
We're off
people that were
topic.
screaming
We're just
Yoruba
totally off
Nation
topic.
last week. I don't know.
again, ask them where the term Yoruba comes from. Yoruba is an exonym from Hausa. It's not. It's not even an indigenous
It's
term.
not from Hausa. It's not from Hausa actually.
But
Actually,
from what?
it's from the Nupe.
No,
The Takpa
it's
people.
etymologically. There's multiple
Hold
sources,
on,
but
hold on, calm down. My goodness.
You guys are just
It's
totally off
from
topic.
Came back from
the
Niger. He told
name,
me I didn't know what I was talking about. So
the
I'm
no,
name,
like,
you don't know what you're talking about.
guys,
We're supposed to
come
be
on.
talking
Nah,
about
Come
cause
on,
let the
Let,
man.
let
sisters
Jagon
finish
African
though.
speak.
Black
Let
Let the
Jagon
nation.
speak.
sisters
No, my
You've
bad,
been
Jago.
speaking
My
enough.
bad,
Let
Jago.
Jagon speak. He's a
Black
Yoruba man. He
nation.
wants to give you
Yeah,
his
I know
due.
his name mean
But let
warrior.
the sisters speak though, cause y'all cut her off though.
But you
Really.
guys are all off topic.
it's
All of you
okay.
guys
I
are off
want
topic.
Jagun, the Yoruba man, to say. Go.
Basically, the term Yoruba, it has a long and very old stream. That stream was kind of rubbed out and rubbed in. It was initially the Takpa people who now known as the Nupe that gave that name because they were very close to us during this time. You understand? It said Yoruba. It was due to the way we speak. So slowly by slowly, that name was taken on, and then when Bishop Crowther came on board back to Nigeria, a slave that was taken away from Nigeria at the time, the ship was caught, and in Sierra Leone, he studied in Sierra Leone and came back as a qualified. What do you call?
Coon.
If it's not nice
He
for
was
us
a
to use.
priest.
Man, Samuel Jai Crowder was a coon, man. Let's be honest.
Oh, no, all right. We don't.
Let him make his point so we can pass the mic. Go ahead, make your point, man.
Thank you. I don't want to make all these admins. Man. Who are we? We don't know who we are before we start pointing finger. I think it's very rude. Anyway,
That's who ain't the devil.
wait. When he came to Nigeria, it was him that took Yoruba on board and gave Yorubas a kind of founding, of which there are many Yorubas, as correctly said. by Irinde. For your there's Ondo, there's Eke, there's even Igala. You can Ishekiri. They're part of the Yoruba nation still. The thing is, you see, all these nations that we speak about, I think some of our discovery or discussion upon the different people groups that are in Africa, that you need to really go into them and find out what they're all really made of. Because I think that we just use these names because we've met one or two people from Yoruba or Igbo, we believe we know who they are. You ain't got a clue. You haven't got you haven't got a clue. You know, the cultures that we come from are extremely deep, and the depth of them still doesn't reach the end. Still, as much as you can go far back in the Yoruba, how can I put it? The Yoruba pantheon, you're not going to get to the end because by the time you get to the end, you've entered into another people group altogether. So
Facts.
whilst we are Black Americans in the States, as we go back, we could be any of the people groups in West Africa. As we go further back than that, we're probably not in what is known as Africa right now. We call it Northeast Africa, where that's probably where we are. So, you know, some of the squabbling that we do here, it's particularly petty.
But that's the point I was trying to make when I said that, and they keep going on these quote unquote
And
one
it's
ethnicity
terrible.
designations. That's what I was trying to say.
And, Yalimde, have you been to Africa? Just so we clear.
Yes.
Exactly. All right.
Let me. Let me read
All
the
right. Go
super
ahead,
chat.
man.
Yaya
Yeah.
King, thank you for the €6. Second time in months that I agree with Vovo. This is the Vovo we want to see. Yaya King, thank you for the €2. Suddenly you lost me again, Vovo. YOY. Okay.
Yalimde, what part of Africa did you go to, brother?
I've been to Ghana.
All right. When you went there, and I'm glad we can have a dialogue. They actually have an African American Association of Ghana. Are you familiar with that?
No, brother. Any I don't identify with nothing African American. I don't deal with that type of stuff,
Brother,
brother.
I'm not even asking you about how you
I'm not.
identify.
No, I'm not familiar with it. I don't anything.
Yes.
But I'm any statement that's coming like for any question following that that's dealing with anything like African American
Hold
organization
on, bro.
wise.
You
I
don't
don't
got to
deal with it.
rant, brother. Let's just take it one
No,
step at a
I'm
time.
just prefacing it
All right, go ahead,
just
man.
so you know. But you good,
All
brother. You
right.
got it.
Yes. Do you realize you cannot erase your lineage? Your
It's
ancestors
not a
been in the U.S.
racist,
for 500 years, right? You cannot erase that 500 years that your ancestors was in the U.S. Do you realize that?
brother. Yes, I know that.
Okay, brother. That means that you are ethnically American. I mean,
No,
just
I'm
like
not.
just
No,
like a
no,
Jamaican.
no, no. I'm not ethnically
Watch
American.
this. Watch this. I'm gonna pass the mic to the sister because she has sense. A black beauty. Please tell me you listening.
Yeah.
All right. Now I know that you have at least expressed that you are half
Yes,
black
my daddy is a
American.
Jamaican. He's a yard man.
Yes, exactly. And I'm glad you said that. Now you call yourself Jamaican because you have ancestry in Jamaica, correct?
Yes, but I'm American. I'm born here.
Exactly. And I'm not even going to deny that. And you're black American as well.
And
That's
I
the
think
point
that
I'm
there's
breaking.
great honor in saying that. Let me just say this. Hey,
Yes,
listen.
ma'am.
Let me just say this because I just came back from Nigeria. My husband is Yoruba. I just got married in Nigeria. It was fun. Everything was great. You know, I will say this. We are black people, but at the end of the day, to say that you're a black American, there's no shame in that. We built this.
Exactly.
We
Yes,
built this
ma'am.
shit. And everything in it that derived from what we built, we are entitled to. So if people want to go and they want to grab what they feel they can grab from this government and what is entitled to us, I'm not the one to stop them.
Yes, ma'am. Amen.
That's it.
And to the brother
I agree.
Yolanda,
Can I
to the brother
quickly
Yolanda.
come in, brother?
Let me say one sentence, brother,
Can
and
I
I'll
quickly,
pass you the mic.
very
Please.
quickly?
Oh my God. Go ahead, brother.
Sorry. Thank you. You see what Yelin? When I heard what Yelinde had to say about and hearing his accent as well, what came to my mind immediately was that this is a deep thinker. The person who's saying this about himself is a deep thinker. Now, many of us in this world, we are given our name and we take it on board, whether we know what it means or not. And what I'm trying to say is not that African. I like the term African American. I like the term black politically, but they all mean different things. And in this world, if we as black people are still unaware that we are at war, then I'm afraid that we've already lost.
All right, brother. Let me get in because you said you were gonna be quick. To the brother.
I'll just end it like this,
All
please.
right. All right.
To be
Go
an
ahead.
American, to be frank, is to be a vestige of the English part of the Americas, if we take it like that.
All right,
Brazil is
brother.
the
With all
Portuguese.
due respect, brother, you're still trying to go on a tangent. Let me just get
No, I'm not
make
trying
a
to.
statement
No,
to the
don't
brother right quick,
say that. Don't.
please, brother.
No,
Please,
no,
brother.
Pam Monada, man. You can't dominate the conversation. Let
No, I'm
somebody
not
else
dominating at
speak.
all. I'm trying to
It's
highlight a
not. It's
point.
not just gonna go back to you all the time. If Jagun wants to speak, let him speak, man.
And
You don't control
Yalinde,
the shit.
and this is the problem right here. When I'm trying to connect with a brother and teach a Black American brother his identity, you got Travis wanting to jump in the mix. The point is this,
Did
Yalimba,
he tell you he was African American?
you heard the brother, pardon me, the sister, Black Beauty. She just said it, and I articulated just like this, brother Yalimde. You don't have to deny your Black American lineage just to unify with Africans. You can embrace being a Black American and still unify with Africans. Matter of fact,
That's not what
Diamond,
I'm.
watch
That's
this.
that's
Diamond
I
never
don't.
gonna say
I'm
that.
not an American.
Oh
That's what
my
I'm
God.
saying, brother.
All
I'm
right,
not
you're
an
in
American.
denial, brother. You're in denial. Let's
I'm
go
not
ahead.
in denial.
Do you know if he's Caribbean? Do
I
you
don't
know if
identify
he's from Jamaica?
the same way that the Israelis don't recognize Palestine is the same way I don't recognize America. I don't recognize America,
You're in
brother.
denial, brother. You mad at your parents.
You
You
can
mad
call
at
it
your
what you want
parents, brother.
to.
I
You
get
can
you
He
call
mad
it
might
at
what
not
you
your
even
want
parents.
be
to.
African American.
You mad
Maybe
at
he's
your
Jamaican American, Haitian American. You don't know that.
But I don't use the Jamaican dollar. Even though my daddy is from Yard, I don't use the Jamaican dollar. That thing weak. What currency is you using every day? Just want to know.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, what does that
Checkmate.
mean?
It's
That's
not
that.
irrelevant.
What does that
Checkmate. I
mean?
figured you out on Camelado today.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Checkmate.
It's
Yeah,
not a
checkmate.
checkmate. That's retarded. Like,
What you mean?
what point does
I'm
that make?
African
How
American. I get to use my
how
U.S.
does a
dollar every
currency
Using a currency don't make you of
how
that
how
nationality or
does me
that
utilizing a
ethnicity.
currency have to do with my what I
Right.
identify with
If you go
politically
to
from a nation
France and you
standpoint?
use the euro, does that make you
Stupid.
European?
He's an idiot.
What's wrong with you? We black and we rich. What's wrong with you?
No, using a currency don't make you a particular ethnicity, right? But I'm saying the brother hasn't disclosed that he's African American ancestry.
Actually, he
He
did. He
might
did.
did he
He actually
disclose
did. You're
that?
not listening. Yeah, you're not listening.
But I come from the colloquialism of what's called America. I don't identify with it though. I'm no type of American. I
Yeah,
do
he's
not
in
believe.
denial.
It's not
His
in
family
denial.
was
I
in.
don't. It's
He
not in
just
Family
threw
was
denial.
out.
So use the
How
Ghanaian
can you
cedi
say?
then. Use that
Wait.
on a
How can you say? Wait. How can you say he's in denial when he's explaining
Well,
himself?
yeah, I'll tell you. He literally
Wait.
said
Hear the
he said his
question.
family was
Hear
enslaved in the
the
U.S.
question.
Yeah.
I'm
Question mark.
responding to your question, brother. You're long-winded.
Let
His
him
No.
finish
family
his
was
question. He hasn't
Don't
even
say that.
said it.
enslaved in the U.S.
Don't.
His
No,
family was
man.
enslaved in the U.S., brother. That's as American as it
Jagon was
gets.
speaking, bro. Let him finish his question, man.
He was
Stop
asking
being
you
so
questions.
disrespectful.
Why are you like that? Why do you feel under such attack? We're just
Well,
having a
brother, I
conversation.
answered your question already. You want to repeat your question?
Nah, he didn't even ask the question, bro. Relax, man.
Actually,
Damn.
he did. You're not listening. You gotta get the foo-foo out your ear.
No, I'm
You see,
listening.
what's that
Get the
for?
foo-foo out
You
your
need to
ear, brother.
relax
He
and
asked
show
you.
That
respect to other people on the panel,
comment.
bro.
What is it for?
You're not even black. These conversations are
Yes,
not
I'm a
even for you.
mulatto,
You don't
brother.
identify
All right,
as a
brother.
black man, bro.
What is
Your
that question
grandkids gonna be
for?
mulattoes, brother. Let's not go on a
Yeah,
tangent.
you don't identify as a black man. I'm not going
No,
on a
I'm a
tangent.
mulatto,
You
brother.
just want to run shit, and you're not black. This is
All
not your
right,
space,
brother.
brother. So
Stop twerking.
park
Stop
your
twerking,
ass
brother.
and let Jagon speak. Go ahead, Jagon.
I'll stop booty clapping for Jawbone. Go ahead, Ja.
Shut your mouth and let a man speak, man.
It's
Let
Hey,
the
come
black
terrible.
on,
people
let's
It's
have
talk.
terrible.
respect amongst men. We don't got to do all the booty clapping and name calling and all
Yeah,
that.
man.
Yeah, yeah, stop booty
Right.
This
clapping.
level is not intellectual. So if you're gonna come across like an intellect, and you're still coming across with all this level of bullshit interims that you're coming with, I'm afraid that we should put you
It's
down
all
as
right,
an
brother. Just
intellect.
ask the question, brother, so I
Nah,
can
man. I'm
answer it
telling
again.
you off. I'm speaking to you directly right now
Yeah,
because
I'm listening, brother.
there's only 8 people here, and if we can't have a decent conversation without you crying all the time, then I'm afraid that you should come out. You know what I mean? You should come out, sir.
All right,
I'm here trying to speak.
is it a
I'm trying
question
to
in there,
speak with
brother?
you. Well, you see, I'm not your brother because I'm trying to speak to you as a, and you're carrying
Well,
on
let's
like
hit
a
the question, bro. Let's get to the question so I can answer it again.
idiot. Stop interrupting me. I'm speaking, idiot. You see,
Come
what
on,
I'm
come on,
trying
come
to
on.
do.
Let's keep it respectful, y'all. Come on.
Well, I will come with my level if you
Now,
lot
just
aren't
make your
capable.
point, brother, please, so we can pass the mic. Go ahead, make your point.
Guess what? Shut up and
Right.
let me.
Shut your mouth, man. Let the man speak.
What I'm saying, guys, is that we need to all grow up. One, I feel that the discrepancy between African and African American is far too overplayed. All it says is that I'm not going to understand you. I don't want to understand you. Actually, I don't. It really does say these things. Actually, I don't like you. That's what it says. Instead of us understanding each other and learning each other, because we don't know anything. We think we know, but we don't know. It's clear every day that Diners put something like this on, and there's a clash between African American, and all the rest of it. It's like, do we know what time it is? Do we know what time it is? We're squabbling about rubbish, yet the world is burning, and we don't even know where to park ourselves if it does. As African Americans, if as a black man in America, I'm going to be treated the same awful way as any other African American or black person in America. It's the same here in Europe. The only thing that we've got to do is to love and look after ourselves. And the more idiocy that comes to the table, what we deal with when we don't want to be dealing with idiotic mentionings, we've got work to do. I don't know what you're talking about half the time.
Okay,
All right.
I think we got
Go ahead,
Omololu on, or
Elvis.
maybe Omololu wants to say something. He's a new guy on the panel.
Let me just say
Yeah,
one thing.
Thanks a lot,
Omololu,
guys.
Omololu, go ahead, and then I gotta close out. Go ahead.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. It's kind of painful to observe what's going on here, and I'm not a vocal person, but I thought I'd just share some insights. I'm about 40 years old. Spent 20 years of my life in Nigeria and 20 years in the U.S. Actually, as a electrical engineer, I studied at the University of Toledo in Ohio, fully immersed in the African American culture as a Nigerian. I'm of the Yoruba tribe, and when you talk about Yoruba history, it goes far into antiquity, covers the entire, basically the you'd be surprised, talk about far into the Middle East, and what's going on in Iran today. It's part of our legacy. And then when you talk about slavery and transatlantic slave trade, a lot of that stuff was not, it was the Europeans, okay? It was really the French. What they did in their country when they were basically French venture capitalists bringing their trade into West Africa. Okay, so I get tired of this narrative that Africans sell each other. That's not African at all. We don't do that. Okay, when you had small tribes, warring tribes, because of the dispersion and the invasions that happened in the northeast of Africa, you have smaller people trying to have their own empire, right, or their own village, whatever. They start fighting each other. Okay, and because they're not cruel people, they capture them. You have prisoners of war. So when the Europeans came and they saw that, okay, you have smaller groups in the Congo capturing each other, they said, okay, you can trade, you can share, you can get rid of these people, and we'll give you guns. And with those guns, you can go out and sort of have more territory and all these things. So that narrative that Africans were selling each other needs to end. Okay, we don't do that. That if anybody has any specific questions, I
Except we did sell each other, brother. We can't deny that fact. Did we not sell? Did Madam Tinubu not sell slaves?
Yes.
Okay, who's that, please?
Oh no, brother, go ahead. My bad. He was directed the question towards you.
Yeah, this is Elvis. I was asking you that.
Madam Tinubu did not sell slaves. That's what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm saying you can't deny the fact that she sold slaves. It's well documented and well known.
Okay, yeah. So when you talk about slave trade, it's not something that Africans were doing as a way to make money or anything like that. Okay, there were warring tribes, smaller groups of people, especially in the central part of Africa. Okay, that had they had basically separated from the larger empires like the Oyo Empire and all these things. Okay, and then the Europeans, they came with, obviously, basically in this goes back into like
Bro, you're not explaining this very well at all. The
Let him
basic
make
way
his
of it.
point, brother. God
Sorry,
damn.
I beg your
Let him
pardon.
finish, Jagon. Let him finish. He was getting to a point. Let him finish.
Yeah. So basically, in the formation of America, right? The Portuguese went to the ocean first. Okay, they were going south to Brazil, and then one of their ships fell on West African coast, and they discovered West Africa for the first time.
No,
Okay?
that's wrong. That's very wrong.
Advise otherwise.
It is wrong actually, but Jago, I'll give you the mic to explain.
Thank you. All I want to say is that look, the Europeans, when they came, they discovered Africa. They knew of Africa, not that they discovered Africa. They
West
knew of
Africa.
Africa
West Africa.
way before they knew
West
about
Africa.
the Americas.
I said
Now,
West Africa.
No, they
I
did. They know about West Africa long before,
Bro,
brother.
the
They've been
point is
trading
y'all
with us for
sold
centuries.
Africa.
wait.
White
Let me just land this so
Move
that we all
forward.
have an understanding, please. Now, in West Africa, we had what we could possibly term as a slave trade within the nations. Now, these slave trades normally happened within wars, or if people were expelled from a certain village, because people weren't starving in that part of Africa. We weren't starving at all. Everyone was well fed, well housed, and well
Bro, can
homed.
you just make your point? You're being
Just
long-winded, bro. Please.
please. I'm giving you the understanding. My words are quick. All you have to do is listen.
They're not
It's
quick,
easy.
bro.
It's easy. Now, from there, the slave trade that we were practicing was one of, after there's a captured war criminal or something like that, that person now is put in the home to do all the kind of labor. However, he is a part of that family, and he can rise from his lowly position
If
as
he
a
was
slave
family, why y'all sold
to
him to the
even
white
the
man?
king. Why are you
Why did y'all
shouting?
sell him to the white man if he
Okay,
was family?
Jago, let
I'm
him
explaining it to you. I'm
Jago, let
explaining
him
it to you.
respond real quick. Let's be fair to him.
Wait. Let me just finish at least explaining what it was, the differences.
Yeah,
Now,
but we heard it before though, brother.
well, you can't have heard it before if you're still mentioning it. You can't have. So you're gonna have to
Brother,
pull
y'all
yourself.
sold Africans to the white man, brother. Let's move forward.
What are you talking about, you damn
That's a
fool?
fact, Jago. We can't dispute that fact. We, as whether it was our chiefs, whether it was people in our ethnic groups who
No,
were
listen
warlords,
to me.
we
Listen to
did
me.
capture
I
other
didn't make.
Africans and sell them to Europeans.
I did not make the statement that said Africans didn't sell Africans. I didn't make that statement.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say that when we sold to the white man, we saw it as a new trade, and in that new trade, we did not know the kind of wickedness that was going to happen with the people that we were selling. We had no idea that chattel slavery, in the way that the Europeans did it, was even a thing. We had no idea.
I agree with that. Chattel slavery was a whole nother
That's
beast.
all I'm saying. I'm not saying
That's a
anything
whole
more
nother
than that.
beast.
But you think, Jagun, by the 18 such and such, when Madame Tinubu was functioning, because she was functioning in the mid to late 1800s, don't you think they would have known by then, hon? Because they were doing that thing for about 300
Well,
years.
I'll tell you something about Africa. During that time of slavery, all or a majority of the artifacts and that the things that we were doing with our hands, our creativity, that was done before the years of slavery.
Can you just answer the question so we can move forward,
I'm
please?
trying to answer the question.
that question
You gotta
can't
stop
be
disturbing
answered.
me, man.
He would have to bring a source for that. Like, it's not no think.
I don't speak the way you speak. You get
Bro,
me?
the point is, whether y'all knew or not, y'all still sold us. So let's move forward.
All right, you can keep that.
has to be added into the context,
You
though,
said it
brother.
15 million times on this channel. We understand and
she must
appreciate.
have known about
Wait, please, one at a time.
It's not a. I mean, you bring a source, or you can't back it
Look,
up.
this is a eclectic sin on us as Africans. We can't try to wiggle our ways out of it. We can't try to talk it down and make it less
wiggle. I'm not doing any
The
wiggling.
reality is, yes, plain blank and period. We sold other Africans into slavery. Let's stop there. Full stop.
Yeah,
Now,
I
whatever
agree.
way it makes us
Brother,
feel
that
for our
it also has to
ancestors.
be. It has to be what Jagun was doing. What Jagun was doing a service to the dynamics, because you can't just you have to contextualize the dynamics that was happening if you want to give an accurate depiction of what
Brother,
actually took place.
No, I mean you can. That's only trying to water it down and make us look
No, but
a little
it's
better
not
or a
trying to
little
water it down
less
because
worse.
again,
No, man.
you selling
Guys,
people
Hold on,
regardless.
Yalimde. But Yalimde,
You
let me ask
selling
you this.
people regardless, which is
Hold
bad,
on, but brother, Yalimde, let
and
me ask you this.
there's no way to justify it. But
But
I'm
brother,
saying it's not the
Yalimde.
same dynamic.
All right, but Yalimde, let me ask you this. When a white person sold your ancestors to another white slave master that was particularly more brutal than the average, will you say, well, he didn't know he was selling to a brutal slave master? You don't care. So you have
Right.
to apply that same logic, brother. I don't care if them Africans knew or not. Regardless, they still sold our ancestors,
Nah,
brother.
but
all
To the
right,
white
fair
man.
enough.
and
Fair
you,
enough.
brother,
Let me ask you a
you
question.
have every right. You have every right to
Yeah,
feel that
yeah.
way, brother. And
Yeah,
I
And
just
the
then
original
after
sin
that,
is
they
bad
just
enough,
let me
and then there's cascading effects that came after that. So we
yeah.
can't try to just say, well, we just sold them. Anything else that happened after that was not known to us. It was not in our knowledge.
What percentage of
That's
African
besides the
was
Yeah,
point.
like
sold
she was
versus
selling.
All
If
right.
I'm looking
kidnapped?
at the history right now, I'm reading a little bit. She was selling slaves in the 1850s, right before we were getting slavery abolished in the
Yeah,
United
from
States.
places like Abeokuta and other places like that,
But
she was operating there,
you
and
would
that was
have to
really
prove that
recent.
she knew what was going on the other side, which you can't
I
do
mean, that
because
that
nobody
doesn't take
probably has
away
to.
anything, brother. I mean, you're
I'm
selling
agreeing
human
with you. I'm
beings.
agreeing with you, but I'm not fighting. I'm not giving pushback on that. I'm saying the question is stupid because there's no way to prove that even if you bring one person that did, there's no way to empirically prove that the people, that majority of the people, or even
So
a little bit
if you
contingent of
sell
people knew what
people
was
right
going on.
now, to a European person, especially God forbid, right? Say it's a girl, with this whole human trafficking, you sell a young girl to a white guy that's living in Brussels. What can you
There's
imagine
no
is going to
excuse. There's
happen to
no
her?
excuse for doing that. There's no excuse for
Yeah, that's the
doing that.
point that I'm making. So you can use your imagination. Maybe you
Brother,
think they're going to go there and
I'm
get a good
agreeing with you.
education and live a good life, or they're going to be raped, they're going to be tortured, they're going to be worked to death. Your imagination as a human being tend to start going when you do something
Nah,
so
but
terrible.
brother, we have to be honest though. If we being honest about the dynamics, there was no cultural precedence for what the Europeans had ever did before. They had no, and that's the reason. And that, to me, bro, it's
apart from
still not an
they
excuse.
didn't look
I'm
at
not
they
making.
didn't look at
Wait.
it as
Let me
human
finish real
beings.
quick. Let me finish real quick. Let me finish real quick. There's no
Yeah.
excuse. There's no excuse for them not studying the European, because them not studying the European ended up leading to them not only selling their own people but getting colonized, and we continuously have these
Yeah,
dynamics today. So
the
yeah, it
Europeans
ultimately is still a
innovated.
problem.
They
So I'm
innovated
not
in
absolving them.
doing slavery. Imagine the Europeans are so innovative.
Yeah.
I hate to give them this point, but they innovated. What did they do? They started breeding other strong Africans with other strong African women to give you a super African slave. They started to innovate. So that's something that most Africans would probably not imagine. But Europeans, being as wicked as they are and innovative as they are, they started to do what? Innovate doing slavery. They started to breed us with the strongest people and have super Africans that can live for longer and work harder, crazy stuff like that. But that's the cascading effect of selling your own people.
Most
And
most people were not
that's
involved.
still the problem
Um,
on the continent today. The
most
continental
people
African still doesn't understand the white man, and that's the biggest problem.
on
So
both
I
sides,
agree with
most
you.
people were not involved. Most
The
white people were
continental
not involved.
African
Most
actually
black
comes to
people
the
were not
U.S. to
involved.
live underneath the white man. With all due respect,
Oh, that's a
You're
to
good
be
already
point too.
honest,
doing it.
That's
Elvis
definitely true.
is an example of that. With all due respect, everything I'm saying is respectful. Elvis brought his black family out of Africa to live underneath whites in the U.S. That's why.
Well,
With all due respect,
I'll give you that
brother,
point. Listen,
don't get
listen,
triggered.
listen.
Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered, brother.
No,
Let me
I'm not
complete my
triggered. Let me
sentence.
just
All
correct
right,
you,
so let me
brother.
complete my sentence, brother. Let me complete my
Okay, go ahead,
sentence,
go
and
ahead.
I'll
I don't
pass
want
it
to
back.
fight with you. Go
How
ahead.
comes you want to complete your
And
sentence?
this
You
is
don't
the
let
No,
reason
no,
anyone
why.
else
let
do
him
that.
complete his sentence. Fine, I'll respond to him. Go
And
ahead.
if we're being honest, this is why most likely Elvis's descendants will be mulattoes. They will look like Mariah Carey and Chris Brown because he
Okay,
brought his family to a majority
okay,
white
okay,
country.
okay. Thank you. Let me
Now go ahead,
respond to you.
Elvis.
First of all, I do agree that as an African, I live on a white system. True, you're right on that point. Secondly, I didn't bring my family here. I came here as a kid. My mother brought me to this country along with my sister and my father.
You're a man now. You could have went
Hold on,
back. You chose not to.
hold on. Listen, let me
Let him
just
finish,
correct you.
brother.
I hear you. I agree with one of your points. Second of all, again, I don't know what my kids will do. Hopefully not. But I'm not mating with any black women. I haven't mated with any black women. My wife is black. I have black kids. As far as you know, I don't have any mulatto kids right now. Now, 20 years down the line, 30 years, I don't know. Maybe one of my kids might have a Caucasian, spouse or
Very
whatever.
likely. Very
But
likely.
definitely, I didn't mate with any white person, and I don't intend to do so. And even my kids, definitely, as long as I'm alive, I would steer them to marry black.
But
So
you
yeah,
brought
you
your
can
Uh,
you
bloodline
can
up
cast
pure,
amongst the
aspersions,
whiteness.
pure
but
aspersion.
You
yeah,
Pure
you
brought
can
your
cast
aspersion.
bloodline
aspersions. But
amongst
I'm
the
telling you
whiteness.
No, I'm
my
not
own
saying that
story.
you're. I'm not talking to you, Elvis. I'm not saying that you're doing aspersions.
No, no, I'm
The
talking to the
aspersion.
general. I'm talking to Payment Mulatto. That's what I
Yeah,
was
go
just
ahead, Elvis.
calling.
I'm
Yeah.
listening. We can have the
No, no, I
dialogue.
already
Go ahead.
made my point that I didn't come here as a man. I didn't bring my family here. I was brought here as a kid. I
Yeah,
have a
no,
family
I
in the
heard that
United
part, but
States.
Elvis, and you didn't respond to what I said. You're a man now, and you still have
He
chosen
doesn't want
not
to
to.
go back.
No, no, I
You
didn't
have
tell you
chosen
that.
not to go back to
I
Africa.
conceded the point that I'm here on a white system. I conceded that point. I'm not arguing that point against you.
So to zoom out dialogue, so it's just not Elvis is the focal point, but Elvis is an example of the Africans unwilling to be self-sufficient. Because Elvis, I'll give him a little bit of credit. He seems to be a little bit intelligent. I'll give him that. Why he not using his brain to build Liberia where he is from? And I'll translate that to any of the Africans on the panel. That's why I give a Black Beauty so much credit. I love her because she talking like she walking. She just got back from Nigeria, literally. So I
Look,
give her
brother,
credit.
you're being
She got
ignorant on
what is
that
his
point.
Yeah,
There are
the
man.
point
hundreds
is
of
this.
thousands
The
of
point is this.
Indians who are
You gotta
very smart, who are medical doctors, who are engineers, who are
they should be
physicists.
building
They're
India.
using their brain to better the United States of America.
And
They're
they
not
should
going
be
back to build
building
up India,
India.
and they're
They should
living
be
the
building
best
India.
life. There are
They should
white
be
people
building
from Europe who come to this country, Russians, Germans, who came to this
and they
country,
should be
became
building
physicists and
their country.
scientists, and helped build the United States. So the
Elvis is the
United
white man.
States is a global hub
Hold on,
for
you're venting right now.
intellectuals to
Elvis.
come and help this country. That's part of what makes this country great. So
Now,
if you
Elvis,
want
let me
to,
respond to
if you
that. Let
want
me
to
respond.
reverse engineer the United States, that's on you, brother.
Now,
But
Elvis,
people are
let me
attracted to this country,
brother, you're
not simply
venting, brother.
people
I'm
are
trying to
attracted to this
let's
country
have a
for the
dialogue.
economic prospect and for the educational
Now,
prospect.
Elvis, let's have a dialogue. You're venting right now. Let's have a dialogue,
No, I'm just
brother.
telling
No,
you
we
because
can't hear you,
Well,
man.
you're
let
not
You're
me
being a
have a
true
interrupting.
process
dialogue with you,
thinker.
brother.
You have to be a
Elvis, I
true
heard your point.
process
Let me
thinker,
respond.
brother.
Now,
Go ahead.
Elvis, the point is this. The point is this. It is a very brief point. You said you came to the U.S. to help the U.S. The U.S. don't need your help. Liberia needs your help, brother. And you
You don't.
abandoned
He
them.
didn't say
No,
that.
no, no.
He
You
didn't
don't
talk his
understand what
shit.
you're saying. I'm
You
telling you
abandoned them.
that the
Let's have that
best and
dialogue.
brightest from other countries come to the United States
And
because they're
those same people should be building their countries of origin. How you don't understand that?
that's what you say, brother. That's what you say.
What
But
I'm saying is, go look at their countries.
individual mindset and they leave their country for whatever
Exactly.
reason.
And your
Is he a
countries are
troll?
suffering. Your
Right.
countries are suffering.
You left the continental United States and went to
Where did
Puerto
I go?
Rico for
Where did I
your
go?
own benefit, right?
No, I'm
You
asking
went
a
there
question.
because you want to be whatever around your own people. You want to be around a mixed mulatto people, whatever the case is. You
Elvis,
went there for a
hold on.
personal
One
reason.
mic at a time, brother. Puerto Rico is a part of the U.S.
I know
Checkmate.
that. I know
Checkmate.
that. I
So the
didn't.
question is this, brother. Let's have a dialogue. Brother,
No,
when you
I'm telling you
abandon,
that you left
all
from
right,
one
well, make it quick. I'm
area
gonna make it quick.
geographically and went to another area for a personal reason. Is that not true?
I went to another area of my same country of origin. Checkmate. The point
I
is,
mean, Puerto
while you
Ricans
are,
are Americans,
let's have a
but
dialogue, brother.
they're
Let's have
kind
a
of
dialogue,
on the
brother.
outskirts of America.
Let's have a dialogue, brother. You don't gotta cut in because you triggered and emotional. The point
No,
is this,
no,
brother.
I'm
Don't
telling
you
you that
realize? Slow
when you
down,
try to
brother.
make the lazy point
Slow
that
down, brother. The
Africans
point
shouldn't
is,
be in America because they should be
go
back
ahead.
on better, it doesn't work like that. They're
All right,
developed countries.
well, watch
No,
this.
no.
Watch this.
What
Hold
would
on,
you say
brother.
about
Slow
the people from
down.
Great Britain who immigrated to the United
Elvis,
States? They
hold on.
already have a developed country. They already have the
But
infrastructure,
you
but they
don't.
still leave their country and come
You
to this
don't have.
country.
And I'm glad you said that. You don't have a developed country. When the last time you been to
Fine,
Monrovia?
I hear that. I'm saying I'm making the argument
But
that
answer that question, though,
immigration
brother.
to this country is not
All
only
right,
from people who have
answer that
undeveloped
question,
countries.
brother.
Even
One mic
people
at a
with developed
time.
countries coming to the United States. So
And
it
I'm about to,
defeats your argument that
and
if you don't
Elvis,
have a developed country, you shouldn't come to the United States. No, no,
I must have struck a nerve because you interrupt me every time I speak. You can't be
no, no.
afraid of the mirror, brother.
We having a
Really. The
conversation, bro.
question.
You
All right,
want
so
to
let's have
run
a
to this?
dialogue, brother. Let's have a dialogue, brother.
Yeah, we're having a dialogue. I'm answering your
When
questions.
was
Let's
the
go.
last time you been to Monrovia? Simple question.
I went to Liberia in 2018.
Checkmate. Did you see the infrastructure when you was there, or
Yeah, I saw
the
the
lack
infrastructure.
thereof?
We've had a war. The country was
Hey,
completely, destroyed. We've
you're
been trying to
proving my point,
rebuild.
brother.
They've made some
You're
improvement
proving
in the
my point,
country,
brother.
but
You're
like
proving
any
my
other,
point,
no,
brother.
you
Slow down, brother.
listen
You're
to what I'm
proving my
saying,
point.
bro.
The question is, you
You ask a
disagree that
question, let me answer.
your country is war torn. Why you not there helping them rebuild? Checkmate.
Yeah, because not everybody stay in the country and
No,
help it
I'm
develop.
asking you though. I'm
Not
asking
everybody
you.
helping stay in the
No,
country
I'm
and help it
asking
develop.
you though,
There are a
brother.
lot of African Americans who
I'm
leave the United
asking
States and go
you
to other
though,
countries and
brother.
live there.
But
There are
I'm
a lot of
asking
white
you.
Americans who leave America and go to other
Yeah, but
countries and
why
live
you
there.
not there though, brother?
Yeah, I'm not there. What am I? Am I
No, I'm
telling you that I
asking
want
why
to be in
you not
Africa
there,
to build
brother.
my
This is
country? I'm in
pathetic.
America. I
This is
came here as a
pathetic.
kid.
I'm
The
asking
only
why
country
you
I've
not
known
there,
as a
brother.
man is the United States of
Daniel,
America.
do something about this, man.
Yeah, I'm
This
asking
is
why you not there, brother? Simple
I'm
question.
not there because
I want to
look,
build
my
your case.
entire family is here. My kids are here. You know, I have a
You can
career.
take them with you.
No,
Don't make no excuses.
this is your
Let
mentality.
me
You
give you an
want all
example. Can I give you
Africans
an
to go
example?
back to Africa.
Let me give you an
That's the
example.
stupid mentality that you
Elvis,
have.
let me give you an
So let me
example.
ask you a question then. Why are you in Puerto Rico?
Exactly. Now that's what I'm about to tell you. Literally, not only did I take all of my wives to Puerto Rico with me, I took all my kids to Puerto Rico with me, put them in school in Puerto Rico.
No, I said
Literally,
why?
to help develop the infrastructure.
Why?
I pay taxes in Puerto Rico, brother. Why you not paying taxes in Liberia? Checkmate.
Oh my
I talk
God!
it like I walk it. Why you
So
don't?
that's your benefit to your
So I'm
country.
asking why you don't do it, brother.
No,
I
hold
answered
on.
your
I'll
question. You
answer your
answered
question, but I'm
mine.
saying you think paying taxes is your benefit
And that's
to
not the
Puerto
only thing I
Rico?
did, but it's a big help. Yes.
Okay. In the last 2 years, right? And again, it's not big. I mean, other Africans do the same thing. Most Africans do,
Let's talk
does
about it.
it.
Let's talk
I've
about it.
sent 30,000 United States dollars to Liberia, to my family, to my
But
friends.
let me say this. Let me say this.
That's helping to
Everyone's
build the country, right?
Elvis.
That's
Let me
getting
respond.
tax money.
Let me
So the
respond to
point
that.
here is
Hold
paying
on, brother.
taxes
Let me
is
respond to
minimum.
that.
What
Now,
special skills
everyone.
do you have that help the United States?
Let me respond to that. Everyone on the internet is the king of Zamunda. So you say you sent 30,000 to Liberia? If you did it, that's what's up. But why you not paying the same
I'm saying
tax,
because it's not a big deal.
brother?
Other
Let me complete
Africans
my sentence,
are in the
brother.
United States helping to
Elvis,
build their
let me
country.
complete
They
my
remit a
sentence,
lot of
brother.
money back home. They have businesses. They have families who are doing
Yeah,
great
but
things
you
back
don't.
home.
But you don't. Checkmate.
What do you mean I don't? What
That's
do
why
you
you
know about
tripping.
me that you say I don't?
That's why
No,
you
this,
tripping.
bro.
So,
Elvis,
so the question is this,
Elvis,
Elvis.
this
Don't you
Elvis,
realize?
Elvis, my
Oh,
friend.
well, hold on. Let me have the
This
dialogue with the brother
argument,
because he's
this
waking up. I'm
argument
waking
that
him
you're
up.
having, is
I'm waking him
beneath you.
up.
It's
All right, I'm
beneath you.
waking him up. Hold on, brother.
This
I'm gonna
guy
pass you the
is
Nah,
mic.
nah, this is rubbish.
he's one of
Let me
those.
say
He's
one
one of
sentence
those.
and I'll
Go
pass you the
back to
mic.
Africa. Why you in?
Yeah,
Why
but
you in
I
America?
mean,
Go back to
why are you
Africa.
engaging at this
Yes.
level?
Go
Just
back to
allow him.
Africa.
Nah, I see
But
what the
Elvis,
brother. I see what the brother Pam Mulatto is saying, but
you know what I'm saying?
nah, I mean, but as an individual, he has the right to do
Uh-huh.
what he wants to do. But
And his
in my
country is
opinion,
suffering because of it.
not yeah,
Are
I'm not
you out
speaking
of your
on him
mind? That's the point
personally.
that I'm making.
Yeah,
Countries don't
he
suffer because one
Yes,
person
they
leaves the
do.
country. No, they
It's
yeah,
called
don't.
a brain drain.
nah,
Is
but
the
this
United States is the
It's
continental
called a
United States
brain
suffering
drain.
because you went to an island?
Hold on, Elvis. I'm gonna tell you, it's called a brain drain. Liberia is experiencing a brain drain because you and your family left. The point is this: the same taxes that you pay the U.S. government, don't you realize that Liberia could benefit more if you was living in Liberia paying taxes in Liberia? That would help build the infrastructure
That's
of
because
your
you're eating.
war-torn
You don't
country.
understand how Liberia works.
That's checkmate, brother.
I give them more money being in the
Checkmate.
United States than I would if I was in the country. That's the
So
thing
you
you don't
gotta depend
understand.
on the white man for $1.
Yeah,
Checkmate.
yeah.
That's checkmate, brother.
Yeah.
So
That's
you're
the
not
point that
built.
I'm
So
making.
I
you
mean,
agree with
That's
me
why
that you're
people
not
come to the
self-sufficient?
United States. I'm not arguing against the fact that I'm living on a white system. I told you that. I'm not arguing against
All
that
right, so
point.
Elvis,
That's
let me
why
ask you a
people
question.
everybody
leave their
is in the
countries.
world.
Yeah,
So
that's why
Elvis,
people
let's
leave
wrap
their
it up. Hold on,
countries,
Elvis,
come to
let's
the
wrap it
United
up.
States, take advantage of their economic system. Usually they tend to go back home or they send money
Brother,
back
you're
home,
not going. You
invest
never
back
been
home
back
in their
home,
country.
brother. But the point is this, brother. In
I
the
just
act,
told you I went back home in 2018. What are you talking about?
you was a tourist. You left and came back. Checkmate.
Did you
Checkmate.
hear?
Like
Did you hear what I
left and
said?
came back.
I gotta read these super chat.
Yeah,
These super chats. We're gonna
he's
close
cooked.
out. Hey, Kwame Raniami, Mental Health. Thank you for $9. Holla. Y'all let Mulatto dominate the convo. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. That is Ministers for Huru. Peace.
Hang about, my boy.